the present, and the future with regard to the severe weather situation. Let's deal with the past first. As we venture off to my left, which is up towards the north, we see some clouds up there, the shooting tops. That is going to become part of the past because that is going to move over parts of Lake Michigan. The present, if you look over in my direction, you see right over here, this happens to be on the other side of that parking deck. That is O'Hare Airport, where we have 735 cancellations already, and we had to wait delays up to 90 minutes. Now let's deal with the future. The future, we take a gander back out towards the west, and we see a lot of cloud development, a lot of showers that are going to be on the way. And to give us a better idea of what we can expect with that cloud cover, with all that moisture, all that instability that's moving this direction, we're going to switch over to the best man in the business, and that is Dr. Greg Forbes. Let's send it back to Dr. Forbes in the severe weather set.
Thanks, Reynolds. And what's coming toward Chicago at this point is kind of spotty, so whether or not you actually get hit remains to be seen. Certainly the strongest of the storms has a tornado warning that's off to your west. Now that one should go north and west of the Chicago area. Probably around 9 or 10 o'clock, we'll have additional coverage and chances of storms coming into Chicago. There's Chicago, so there are some showers around there, but the biggest storm, a supercell thunderstorm with a possible tornado on its southwest side, just to the south of Rockford, Illinois, heading up toward the Belvedere, Illinois area, the bonus areas. We're talking about a possibility of a tornado there. We're talking down on the southwest side here of the storm with a possible tornado there. I'll show you the velocity signature on that one that shows up right around the area south of New Milford, as I talked about. Not an intensely strong rotation at this point, but some suggestion there that we may be seeing a little bit of loft of a rotation there. Let's go along then, Sarah, and take a look at the storm farther to the northwest. This storm has come out of Iowa. It's had a history of producing tornadoes. Now it is up into Illinois total. We're talking about Carroll County in Illinois. It's gotten to have a very complex structure, but still some rotation right in around that location. A tornado possibly right up coming toward the area around the Brookville, the Leaf River area, with a possibility of a tornado there. Let's go to the high definition radar, Sarah, and we'll see that tornado likely to be pushing here off to the north and east of Milledgeville, heading northeast. Stay safe.
Weather Wellness brought to you by CVS Health.
Another major severe weather day from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which is under a severe thunderstorm warning now for the airport and the mid-cities, over to East Texas and northwestern Louisiana, a tornado watch until 10 o'clock. Little Rock is under a severe thunderstorm warning. Also, St. Charles County, north side of St. Louis, a severe thunderstorm warning, no longer a tornado warning. That's good news. But northern Illinois, western Illinois, tornado watches are in effect, all the way back to Pittsburgh, where we've had some rough weather and numerous reports of damage. 129 so far at the Storm Prediction Center. Most of those were wind and hail. And look at some of the wind damage that has occurred today.
Absolutely. Dr. Forbes has given some of these areas torcons of 6, and we have seen at least wind damage, perhaps from a tornado. This was north of Davenport, Iowa. One of the storm chasers that we've been talking to throughout the afternoon caught this video of this turned over or rolled over semi-tractor trailer on the highway north of Davenport. So at least wind damage. We'll have to see if a tornado did in fact roll through this area. There was a tornado warning in effect, including for the town of Clinton. He was heading that way to check on that area. That's just one of many areas that we've been watching today. Welcome back to our special extended coverage of this multi-day severe weather outbreak. I'm Alex Wilson here with Dave Schwartz.
And the tornado warning has been canceled from that storm that hit Clinton and that overturned that semi. But Rockford, Illinois is under a tornado warning right now. Let's get into the lab. Carl Parker is our storm specialist. He's got the latest.
Dave, we want to tell you about these storms in southern Michigan near the warm front. They are moving to the east and northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. And there is a tornado warning now west of Detroit. Let's take a look at that on the radar picture. And that's coming towards Ann Arbor. There are actually a couple of cells that we're watching. The southernmost cell not being warned on right now. It's just getting into the other tornado warning. And this is for Washtenaw County. That includes Ann Arbor. One want to show you the high-resolution radar and show you that there are actually multiple circulations with this particular area. So this first circulation now is up here near Ann Arbor, and it's really broad right now, and it's not very strong at this time. But then we saw a little surge of cooler air coming around the underside of that, and along this flanking line of new storms, there's another circulation right in there. But the strongest circulation right now is with this cell that had been warned on to the south, and it's now getting into the other tornado warning. So this is just south of Route 12, pretty pronounced circulation right there, rotational couplet there. And as we interrogate this and take a look for debris, we're not seeing any evidence of debris, but on the southwest side of that cell, again south of Route 12, that is moving a little north of east at about 40 miles per hour. Now I want to take you down into North Carolina and show you there are warnings here in the Raleigh metro. Could be 1-inch hail coming right into downtown Raleigh. That's a warning for Chatham, Harnett, and Wake counties going until 8:15. The movement here is east at about 30 miles per hour. And then well off to the west of that, we've got a whole string of storms and now tornado warning. We've been watching this in the Shreveport metro, looking at this thinking they probably would issue a tornado warning. And in fact, there is now one for Cherokee and Smith counties. Let's go ahead and time that out, Sean. This is right at Route 69. And it's going to be moving to the north of Jacksonville and getting very close to the state line there. This is going until 7:30. And so here is the timing. It's basically moving to the east, should be getting towards Mixon in short order. Next couple of minutes, Blackjack at 6:41, and then getting over to Pone at 6:56. And we'll take a look at the high resolution radar with this particular storm. And what we're seeing here is just a really pronounced rotational signature. I'll zoom in a little bit, and right in there, where you see that sort of a bluish color that is going toward the radar right in here, and then the reddish color that's going away from the radar, that is the rotation right there. And now we'll look and see if there's any debris, and maybe some hint of that, but it does look more or less ambiguous. But you do see that ball there showing up. That's where you've got the rotation within the storm, and the tornado likes to sit right in there near that little inflow notch. And so that is now south of Bullard, north of Jacksonville, and generally moving again towards the east. And tornado warning in effect here in eastern parts of Texas and on the way for Louisiana. That's for Cherokee and Smith counties in northeastern Texas. Dave, Alex, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Carl. Well, we have continued to watch these storms all the way, as Carl said, from Texas up into the state of Pennsylvania. We've got some severe warnings around western West Virginia as well, into Cabell County, to the Huntington area, watching for strong storms as well. And we've got a bunch of chasers out there working with us. They're providing us with great video. And of course, we've got our own field crews out there. We've got Reynolds Wolf in Chicago. Mike Bettis has been watching storms as well. So,
yeah. So you got the full Absolutely. Monty right here. David Baxter is one of the chasers who is on this, and he's driving through Clinton, where a tornado may have gotten very close. The storm has moved away. Dave, what are you finding now?
I'm just driving through Clinton currently right now. I do see like a lot of dirt and twigs that have been washed away with like a lot of the heavy rain that came through. I'm not seeing any signs of tornado damage. I've seen some lawn chairs and some buckets thrown into some yards and whatnot, but I have not seen any, true tornado damage of a touchdown. But there was a report of one in this area.
Yeah, I'm looking at our just internal email and seeing that there was maybe a video that we're hoping to get up and be able to show people. Was Interstate 30 or US 30 what you were traveling on, where you saw the overturned semi?
No, that was the route that was coming from Davenport. I believe that was 60 north or 61 north, going north from Davenport.
And do you know where US 30 would be in comparison to where you were?
I'm sorry?
US 30, do you know where that would be in relation to where you were, where you saw the damage?
That would be to the north and east of where the overturned truck was.
Okay. All right, we'll hope to get you the video. What about now? It looks like a much calmer scene than the last time we talked to you, where you had the heavy rain and the hail, actually seeing some sunshine.
Yeah, it's actually starting to clear out. There's a lot of ponding water on the roads. Actually, some of the sides of the roads are a little bit flooded. So you just want to watch out for any standing water and things like that.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, David. We're going to continue to track your progress and check in with you on what you're finding. Right now, we want to send it back to the lab with Dr. Greg Forbes.
Yeah, tornado warning for Rockford, Illinois, and there's been a sighting. Is that right, Greg?
Yeah, there's been a funnel cloud with that and a brand new tornado warning for the storm just southwest of that. So let's take a look. Here's the big picture. Chicago, you have most of the action off to your west, but it's beginning to pick up in intensity up toward Elgin, up toward the airport. But Rockford, tornado warning there, Boone and Winnebago counties. There has been a funnel cloud sighted near the Rockford airport. And that storm is heading off toward the north and east. The tornado will be on the southwest side of that, coming up toward Cherry Valley and the Belvedere area. Let's take a look here. I have shown you on my high-resolution radar that we have one storm, the one with a funnel cloud. The one actually to the south and west of that has a better hook on that. That's a brand new tornado warning. I'll first start with the storm that's up near the Rockford area. The funnel cloud was near the New Milford area there. The tornado now is heading off to the north and east toward the Cherry Valley area. While I'm on the Gibson Ridge, I'll slide down then to the next storm down. That's down near the Franklin Grove area. You can obviously see how the storm is rotating with the inflow coming in. We'll take a look at the velocities on this one. It has such an intense velocity on it that we're dropping out. So this is a dangerous signature here. There may be a tornado in progress in there, and the radar is unable to depict that because it's seeing one side of the beam has one velocity, the other direction. We're seeing in the debris signature a huge area here of these blues that I talk about as the possibility of debris. So let me go back one more time. There's the dropout. I'm going to step up one altitude in the vertical and get away maybe from a little bit of a noise. So I'm just a little bit higher up in the radar. You see very strong eastbound, very strong westbound. Tornado looks to be very likely in progress over the Franklin Grove area, heading up toward Ashton and the Rochelle areas. That is Boone and Winnebago counties, Lee and Ogle counties in Illinois. Let's go back now to the studio.
All right, Dr. Forbes, thank you so much. I want to take you back out to the Chicago area where our own Reynolds Wolf is watching and waiting for those storms approach. We will check in with him next. All right, thanks for staying with us. We are looking live near Sterling, Illinois, getting a look up towards a tornado-warned storm working towards Rochelle, Illinois. Let's head out for some expert analysis with storm specialist Carl Parker.
All right, this is east of Sterling in Illinois. You are looking at a live tornado on the ground there, and you see that white funnel, and just above that what is called the collar cloud, and then above that the larger circulation, the wall cloud, mesocyclone there. As they are driving along with this very dangerous storm, I want to bring in our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. And Dr. Greg, that's what you would call a front-lit tornado when you see a sort of whitish appearance like that.
Indeed it is, and you can see there's a little bit of a shadow on the windshield there, but just on the right side of the shadow you can see the tornado right down to the ground there. So this is the southern of two tornado-warned storms in Illinois, northern Illinois. Both of them now have tornadoes with those. So the northern storm, there's been a tornado sighted the Sterling Valley, Cherry Valley area, and up into Boone and Winnebago counties, north and east of the Rockford area. The southern of the two warned storms is the one that we're seeing pictures of at the moment. So Sarah, let's advance here, move along with this. We'll take a look at the northern storm first. There's been a tornado with this one. Tornado now heading toward the Belvedere area and then toward the Dunham area. And sliding, there's been the tornado report there on the northern of the storms. As you continue to watch the southern of the storms on your left side of your screen, then we'll slide down to the second southern storm, Sarah, and take a look at that one. Lee and Ogle counties, you can see how this storm has an even better hook echo. There has been, and that is the storm that we're seeing in the chaser video. In the hook echo there off to the west of the Rochelle area is where we have the tornado. So right now it's very close to the Ashton area, and then heading up toward Flag, toward Rochelle, and toward the South Grove area. We'll go just slightly to the north of DeKalb, Illinois region. Let's go to the high definition radar, Sarah, and this one is showing very well defined hook echo to that right in about there. It's also producing large hail, probably baseball size up in that white core. Tornado will be in this area just to the northeast of Franklin Grove right now. Very strong velocities. And so strong that in fact that we're having trouble getting the absolute velocity because it's seeing a tornado right in the middle of that. Let me take a look and see what kind of debris signatures we're showing there. Definitely showing some signs of debris. With that, you're seeing the tornado in progress and going back again to the velocities. so complex, and the beam is seeing the tornado within the beam, so that it's getting both sides. So that's why you're getting a little bit of ambiguous appearance in this velocity signature. But tornado sitting right inside this notch here, heading toward the Hillcrest area, the Rochelle area of Illinois. So dangerous tornado in progress, and you are watching that in the area just to the west of Rochelle, heading off toward the north and east across Lee and Ogle counties, as well as a tornado that's north and east of Rockford in the Illinois area. Additional tornado warnings. Are we going to go to Carl here and take a look at Carl? These storms are out ahead of a cold front in the area close to a surface low that is giving some extra spin to the atmosphere, as well as the strong winds, low-level jet coming in. Some of your storms, the ones up near Detroit, are on a warm front, so tornado warnings up there as well. And we're going to get into that in just a second. If you are just joining us, this is live coverage. You're looking at a live picture from a storm chaser, picture breaking up a little bit, as it can be expected when people are driving along, but he is riding alongside of a tornado. A little difficult to see because of the glare in the windshield right now, but we're going to keep our eyes on this. He's doing his best to catch up to that tornado, and we very clearly saw a tornado moments ago there coming across northern Illinois. Let's take a look at some of the other warnings that are ongoing. There's still now a tornado warning in far east Texas, and that's getting ready to come into Louisiana. So you see the string of storms lining up from south of Dallas and along 45, and here is the tornado warning that is for Cherokee and Smith counties. So the area that we're watching is that little ball there on the southwest side of the circulation that's coming now right into Troop as we speak. So heads up there in Troop, time to take cover immediately, and we'll drop on in and take a look at the street level mapping. And so the tornado likes to sit in that little notch right in there, so that could be coming right across 135 and 110 right now, and eventually heading towards FM 13E. Very strong rotational signature. So right in here, this is where you've got large and extremely dangerous tornado on the ground there reported with this storm, and again a very strong rotational signature showing up on the radar. We'll time this out, and that is coming into Troop right now. Going to be getting over into Price at 7:26, 7:26 into Turnertown, and 7:51 into Henderson. And let's go ahead and take a look at the high resolution radar, Sean, and see what's going on with this. We'll interrogate this a little bit, and again, got a very strong rotational signature. See that there where you see the bright color? Here again is where the wind and the rain is coming towards the radar and where it's moving away from the radar. So you've got a very strong rotation there. We can look and see if there's any debris, and we're not seeing any evidence of debris, but nonetheless a very dangerous storm. And again, we got a report of a large tornado on the ground with that particular cell, and that is moving towards that Texas and Louisiana state line. Now, I do want to take you up into Michigan to show you what's happening there. The tornado warning has been allowed to expire. We are still seeing some circulation in these storms, but it's not as robust as it once was. So there are not warnings on these cells as they're coming down 94 and towards 275. They'll eventually come right into Detroit, and certainly there could be very gusty wind with these storms, but again, there are not warnings right now. We'll take a look at the high resolution radar and see what's going on there. And you'll notice that there is still circulation in a couple of these cells. So I'm going to outline that for you. Circulation there that is now just west, and in fact a fairly decent circulation just west of Cherry Hill, and then another one showing up here just west of Whitaker. But at least right now the National Weather Service not seeing enough rotation to warrant issuing a tornado warning, and we'll just continue to keep our eyes on these cells as they move east at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. All right, let's get back to the stronger storms now in Illinois. Dr. Gregg, what's the rotation look like now? Still storms, two of them that have well-defined rotations. They both have had tornadoes with that. You see one that is off now to the north and east of Rockford. Hold this for just a second, Sarah, so I can set the big picture. The other that is down in the area farther to the south of Rockford. Chicago, for the moment, you're clear. There are storms out toward the airport and out around Aurora. The cold front is out in here. So ultimately, this cold front will come probably around 9 o'clock or 9:30 into the Chicago area. But for the moment, the storms are off to your north and west and rolling north and westward. So let's take a look at the southern of the storms here. We have a tornado warning. In fact, probably now a debris ball that is showing up here in the area off to the west of Rochelle, with a Lee and Ogle counties having a tornado warning there. There's been a tornado warning, a tornado spotted, and power flashes around the Ashton area. As you see, well-defined hook echo that is wrapping around, possibly a tornado signature. We'll go to the high-definition radar in a minute and take a look at that. The location of the tornado near the East Flag area and just to the east of the South Chana Road area, heading up toward the South Kings Road area. There is the velocity signature showing up, and some indication there on this portrayal of a debris signature that's showing up, generally heading up toward the South Kings Road area and Highway 64, going to be heading up toward Linville there along Interstate 39. Linville, Flag Center, Linville, Esmond, Kirkland, you have tornado warnings for the tornado that is in progress, appears to be in progress and moving your way. Let's go to the high-definition radar, Sarah, if we can. And we'll take a look at that one. That's on 19. And so I've been suggesting this could be a debris ball. There's the main body of the storm. The hook echo wraps around. The inflow comes in. The whole storm rotating. Let us take a look and investigate a little bit further. Certainly, there we go. Certainly right where I drew the debris ball, that is where the tornado vortex signature is. You see the reds inbound, the greens going westbound. And let's say if we have debris showing up in our dual pole, we sure do. So tornado, I would say, almost assuredly in progress here in the area. This location at this time, this is about 2 minutes ago in the most recent scan.
Spotter reporting damage there, Dr. Forbes, near Ashton.
Spotter reporting damage near Ashton. It's moved on right at this time. About 2 minutes ago, it's located about 5.5 miles west-southwest of Hillcrest. So that would mean probably now it's about 2 miles west of Hillcrest and moving up into the area that will go toward the Hillcrest and the Esmond area. So dangerous storm with a debris ball, with a tornado debris signature, well-defined rotation with that. Here is the rotation. If we ask how intense that is, it's maybe getting a little bit disrupted, but strong tornado moving across the counties. What are the county names on this one? I'll get that one again. That is parts of Lee and Ogle counties in Illinois. Let's go up to the storm to the north then. The Rockford storm also has had a tornado with that one. It does not quite have the well-defined hook echo, but it has gotten better defined as we've gone along. It's gone, instead of this big elongated storm, it's begun to get more of this appendage out the south flank. It had a tornado in the Cherry Valley area that was back right about in here, and it's continued off toward the north and east in across a tornado warning for Boone County, with a tornado right around in that location, going to go just to the south of Chemung. And so Sarah is going to track this one for us right now, right around the Belvedere area of Illinois. That is a location that in the past has had a tornado up toward the Dunham and the Harvard areas of Illinois. Let's go to the high-definition radar, Sarah, and I'll take a quick look at this one in terms of its structure. There it is with the tornado right down in that southwest area. In fact, you even can see a little bit of a minimum in the return there. And if I take a look at the velocities on this one, that's where you'll see the very, very strong rotation. Reds northbound, the greens southbound. Let's have a look at this one, see if we have a debris signature there. A little bit of a lowering. That green spot there, not the reds and purples that are indicative of rain. So certainly a possibility there. That is what we're seeing, that little lighter donut hole surrounded by a light shroud of rain, maybe slightly rain mapped. If you're looking at this, you may see that it's a little fuzzy looking, or maybe hard to be absolutely sure that you're seeing a tornado. That's because this little light rain curtain has wrapped around that, but a tornado that is just near the Belvedere area, heading up toward Harvard, Illinois, off toward the north and east. You're seeing at the left, I'll go to Carl. Maybe Carl, they've been in your ear and told you what the camera is on the left part of your picture there.
Yeah, we are actually looking at Chicago right there. We want to get out live right now to Reynolds Wolf, who is in Chicago. And Reynolds, that is a mean-looking sky right there.
It certainly is. What's interesting, Carl, is that we've had over 735 cancellations of flights at O'Hare, which is just off to our north. And you saw that large jet taking off with a hard bank to the south and southeast. You can see the reason what they're trying to avoid, that massive cloud that's developing farther back out to our west, all of that rolling in this direction. What's interesting, Carl, is we have seen from this morning fog with drizzle and 40-something degrees to temperatures in the 60s. We had clear skies, had a little bit of everything today. And now we're seeing at this stage, and that is the instability, quite a bit of it too. If we journey over a little bit more to the north, you'll see that we have a little bit of a window that's popping up, a little more settled there. But on either side, you've got, again, everything lifting up. Very interesting. A little touch of a Mattis high above, and then if we venture even over a bit more to our north, over towards the airport, the horizon, it's all dark. Not only is it all dark, you can just imagine where that heavy rain is coming down on the other side of the airport. And then farther up to the north, we've got skies clearing out over parts of Lake Michigan. So really kind of a kaleidoscope of weather scenario that we've been dealing with just now. Guys, if you can give us a little bit more of a heads up, what do you think we can expect a bit more for this area out in parts of western Chicago, out towards the airport? Because it looks like much of the action is still over towards Rockford. We had 2 of those tornado warnings, which I imagine if they're about to expire or already have expired.
All right, Reynolds, thank you so much. And let's take a look at what's going on in the Midwest right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Detroit and also for Toledo, Ohio. These cells are racing off to the northeast about 45 miles per hour. And right now, the concern is 60-mile-per-hour wind. They're coming into Wayne County, Washtenaw County, and that's going until 8:45. I do want to show you the timing of all this. It's going to be getting into Taylor at about 18 minutes after the hour. We'll move it ahead just a little bit. Dearborn Heights at 12 minutes after the hour. Dearborn at 8:23. Downtown Detroit at 8:36. And primarily what we've got here is a threat for damaging wind, but we will look here at the high resolution radar, and I can tell you that there have been circulations in this line, and in fact, as we look, there are still little circulations that are showing up. One right in here, one right in here, one right in here. So it certainly is possible that we could see a spin up within this line. Now, off to the south of that, there's another warning in effect in Toledo. We'll zoom on down there and take a look at that. That's right along Interstate 75. These cells now moving off towards the northeast once again at about 40 miles per hour. Damaging wind, the threat there in Toledo. Much more coming right up. Welcome back to the Weather Channel's live coverage of severe weather across much of the middle of the country, parts of the east. You are looking at a live tornado. This is east of Sterling, Illinois. Very strong rotation and debris being seen with this circulation for some time now. And there off to the left-hand side of your screen, that is a large tornado, large cone-shaped tornado. I want to bring in our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. And Dr. Greg, that is one mean storm right there.
One massive tornado there with a big wall cloud above that, and then higher up in the picture there, you're seeing the rest of the storm there.
So again, we are looking at a large tornado, very strong tornado there east of Sterling, and just above that you see there's a little bit of what's called a collar cloud wrapping around wall cloud above the storm there. But this is a large and dangerous tornado, and again, we have seen debris on radar, so we know that at least some foliage has been hit, if not actually structures. Chaser, following this live right now, notice that large cone shape there, almost but not quite perhaps a wedge tornado, but certainly a very dangerous storm. And this is live now in progress east of Sterling in Illinois. And we want to bring in Dr. Greg once again. And Dr. Greg, that is certainly one of the worst that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, this is a massive cone or perhaps even wedge tornado. Wedge tornado is wider than it is tall, and I think this would characterize that. And just above that, a layer that is the wall cloud that is in itself impressive, and then above that, the prevailing cloud base. So dangerous tornado there. This is in the area right now near Kings. And heading toward the Esmond area, probably just south of Lindenwood, and then ultimately toward Kirkland and Kingston there in Illinois. It's the southern of two storms, both of which have tornadoes on that. Right here, you see what I have been describing as a debris ball. That is coming very close now to Interstate I-39. That will be up in the area north of Esmond, in the Linville area, with debris showing up here. That is the tornado. The tornado is so wide, and probably some of that wall cloud that I described is also showing up at the altitude of the radar. It's coming up right now. It is near the intersection of Highway 61 and just north of Highway 64 and 251, going to be heading toward the Linville area right along I-39. And then ultimately will come off toward near I-39 and East Lindenwood Road. So dangerous, large tornado, as you're seeing there at the left, in progress and heading northeast at about 40 to 45 miles per hour across this area in northern Illinois. There's also a tornado in northern parts of Illinois, farther to the north, that has had sightings with that at times. That is up heading toward the Harvard, Illinois area that has come out of the area around Belvedere and had a tornado around Cherry Valley and then back in the area south of Rockford. But a mass of the chaser here, Carl, has gotten closer to the tornado, and you can see what a big wedge tornado this is. Yeah. Massive tornado. This is the kind of thing that we told you today. There could be a large, long-lived, and perhaps strong tornado. If we were going to be talking about it, this would probably be the picture that we would be showing you of one of these large, perhaps long-lived, and perhaps dangerous, destructive, strong tornadoes.
Now, Dr. Greg, these things are moving right along today, and as chasers do, he's been approaching the storm from the south on a north-south road. He was moving right along for a while there, but he has, as chasers also do, stopped because the storm is likely going to cross the road just off to his north. And as you mentioned, this is certainly a very dangerous storm. It's also a little bit front-lit here. Oftentimes tornadoes are backlit, and so they have more of a blackish appearance, but the light is actually at his back, coming from his back, so that's why it's got more of a whitish appearance. So you're looking at the cloud there. That's the white part is the cloud, and then at the base sometimes you see some dust coming around, but now we're getting a much clearer picture. And folks, this is live. This is not tape. You were looking at a live tornado there near Rochelle, Illinois, and a very large wedge-shaped tornado now moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. Dr. Greg, just an incredible sight there, and we can only hope that there aren't very many people in the way of this thing. Yeah, that's absolutely the case, and we know that this is heading toward I-39, so you in fact can see the interstate right there. So let's hope that the traffic, the southbound traffic there is still going. You see there a couple of tractor trailers coming southbound, so you hope at some point that the state police will be stopping the traffic. Otherwise, you could have some people that are driving right into this. Off to the right of the big wedge tornado, you see darker skies, and you can see some of these brighter skies off to the left. So this is at the rain-free and then lowered rain-based type interface. We talk about the interface of a downdraft and the updraft, where these big wall clouds and these big wedge supercell tornadoes form, and this is about as classic a view of that as we get, Carl. You know, and I'm always amazed, you know, unless these people are storm chasers, and that's possible, but I'm always amazed when I see traffic going and there's a tornado in progress. You'd think that people would want to stop. I mean, if they're going away from it, that's a different story. Okay, now that it's getting closer to the road, now he's going to begin to come up from the south. So that's what he's wanted to do. He's wanted to slow down to get a sense of which way it was going. And now that he knows for sure that it's going to pass off to his north, he's going to try to go ahead and catch up to it. Actually, it looks like he might be getting off here, perhaps to get up to a better vantage point to get a little bit of elevation. Look at the truck, though, that is just powering full steam ahead right up towards that tornado. That is remarkable. Very strong tornado now near Rochelle, Illinois. And Dr. Greg, we've seen a lot of debris showing up on the radar, unfortunately. Yeah, we really have. Brand new tornado warning for Macoupin and Montgomery counties in Illinois as well. I'm not sure. Let me see if that is the same storm. That's a new one south of Springfield. Yet a new storm that's south of Springfield, Illinois, that also has tornado warning on that. So 3 tornado warnings now in Illinois. The one with by far the strongest circulation that we're seeing and a big debris ball on radar is the one that you're seeing the chasers following. It is getting just about ready to cross the interstate now. It is just to the south of the Lindenwood, or very close to Lindenwood, Illinois, as we have a tornado warning in effect for parts of DeKalb, Boone, Ogle, and Winnebago counties in north central Illinois. Large and confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado near Hillcrest, moving
just northwest of Rochelle and northeast at 45 miles per hour. So a life-threatening situation here for people in the path of this. Right now near the Lindenwood area, it will probably go near and just slightly to the south and east of Monroe Center, just to the west of Kirkland, Illinois, as it heads off toward the northeast. Very large and dangerous tornado. You're seeing it live as the chasers are moving with that to keep you and keep us able to see the tornado.
Dr. Ford, they've also just warned to the storm to the west. There's a circulation west of this large tornado that they just warned on. Let me get the county.
Yeah, I can get the county.
Boone and
just a brand new
Winnebago,
warning for
Ogle.
Boone, Ogle, and Winnebago, as well as additional tornado warnings in additional states that are popping up. This area of Illinois, especially northwest Illinois, and earlier I'd said southeast parts of Iowa were the area today that I gave a tornado condition index of 6. That was largely because this area was close to the surface low, had the instability and that extra rotation near the surface low, and unfortunately we're seeing that those ingredients are indeed materializing as we have 3 tornado warned storms now in that northwest portion of Illinois.
All right, if you are just joining us now, we have been watching a live tornado, watching a live storm chaser coverage there near Rochelle in Illinois, and we saw a massive wedge-shaped tornado just moments ago. So what he is doing now is he is tracking east. He got up as close as he wanted to get while driving north. The storm passed across the road. Now he is tracking east, and he'll turn north again to try to intercept that tornado once again. Now, we do want to tell you about some other tornado warnings. In fact, there is one right now for Toledo, Ohio, and let's go ahead and take a look at that on Max 6 while we continue to watch the storm chaser moving forward there. And this is now coming right up to the 80 corridor and moving off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So a tornado warning right now in effect for the Toledo Metro, and that cell is coming right towards downtown Toledo. Don't know if we can take a look at the radar view of that. Okay, there we go, and let's zoom on into that, Sean, and see what's going on with this storm. So we're seeing pretty strong rotation with this cell, and we'll track that out. That's coming now right across the south side of the Toledo Metro. That is a tornado warning for Lucas and Wood counties. That includes Maumee, Oregon, and Perrysburg. And Sean, let's go ahead and track out that circulation there. Very close to Waterville right now, and coming very close to 75 as well. There are actually a couple of circulations, but the stronger one is on the southwest side near Waterville, and that is now moving off to the east-northeast. That's going to take it into Dowling at about 8:16 and Latch at about 8:27. Let's go to the high-resolution radar and take a look there. And once again, the stronger circulation is now near Waterville, and that is now moving up right across that Route 24 and seeing a pronounced velocity signature there. And that's now coming into that 12 and will be coming over into 75 as well. All right, so we continue to watch live storm chaser coverage there. That's near Rochelle in Illinois, and we had been watching a live tornado, and he is coming up on this tornado again. So if you are just joining us, we saw moments ago this very large wedge-shaped tornado, a white tornado, front lit. It's being illuminated from the front as regards the storm chaser's position, and he is now approaching from the south once again. He turned more to the east, and now he's turned to the north, and he's coming up to intercept this tornado once again. So it's a tornado in progress there, and a large one. We've seen debris in the radar signature, which means that either it has done damage at least to trees or possibly to structures as well. And if you notice there, you can see it illuminated by the lightning. Sometimes the picture gets a little bit grainier, which is something that you might expect when you've got a moving vehicle, a signal being broadcast from a moving vehicle. But you can see just behind the trees there, there's this wedge shape, cone-shaped tornado, and as he gets into a clearing and closer to that storm, we are once again going to be looking at a live tornado there in Illinois. Dr. Greg, what's the latest on the radar with that storm?
Yeah, and now he's come out into an opening. You can see that just to the left of the edge of that white cloud, you can see there is a tornado, still a big cone or wedge tornado. Just slightly, you can see that white cloud. Its right edge, just to the left of that, is the cone tornado. Underneath that big white wall cloud there. And this storm continues to have a debris ball in the area near the Lindenwood area. and continues to be heading up toward the Kirkland area, just to the south of Monroe Center, with a very strong rotation, with continuing to have a debris signature. In fact, the debris field may be expanding, as if that we've had the possibility that it has caused a bit of damage, and some of that is being dispersed as it's picked up into the air. Oh, okay, I have it in the telestrator. So the tornado, it's a little bit hard to see, but this big white cloud I talk about is here. There's the wall cloud, and then now we got into some trees, but just to the left of the edge of that wall cloud is where the tornado is located, right there. It's hard for me to see in the telestrator, but I can point to it by looking at the screen here, and the tornado is big. It's from there all the way across to there. It's a big wedge tornado, and then it angles its way up. It's even higher up as we get down toward the base of that wall cloud. So I had mentioned earlier I thought it might be a little bit obscured and a little bit of layer of rain, and that may be the case here, the combination of shadows from the cloud above it. But there is definitely a wall cloud, definitely a tornado underneath that wall cloud.
Dr. Forbes, getting reports of semis tipped over on the interstate, people trapped inside, their spotters stopping to assist them on the road. Did just cross Interstate 39.
Yeah, that's what Sarah's just talking about, what we had worried about a few moments ago, that this was going to cross I-39, and we were seeing that the traffic had not stopped. We were seeing both northbound and southbound traffic, getting reports of semis that are overturned. Hope everyone is okay there. You can see there he's panned to the left. That would be off to the west, and it's clear skies right there, right up the road. He's heading directly toward it now. You can see the tornado, big wedge tornado that is showing up right there underneath this big wall cloud. So this is a classic, very wide tornado. I would guess, Carl, that this tornado is probably at least a half-mile wide.
Very large storm there, and we're going to talk to the chaser Matt Salo, who is behind the wheel of this particular chase vehicle. And Matt, are you there?
Yes.
All right, so you're coming up on this thing now. It looks like you are headed north once again, and what, about a half mile away, something like that?
Yeah, half a mile, probably a mile.
Okay, and you're moving right along there, and it's difficult to chase on a day like today, but you've been doing quite a job of it, keeping up with these storms. They're moving right along, aren't they?
Yeah, I've been tracking them since about 1 p.m.
And tell us what you're seeing right now. Obviously, you've got this large tornado just off to your right, so it is you're in a safe position, relatively speaking. It's moving off to your northeast, and so you're coming up basically behind it relative to its movement of direction, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Have you ever seen a tornado of this size?
Not this size, no.
How long have you been chasing?
This is 23 years.
All right. Well, it's quite a storm there. This is Matt Sala, who's chasing Dr. Greg. It's amazing that this thing has maintained as much structure as it has, but this has really been a testament to how much energy is in the atmosphere today.
It really is, and while you were talking, I was making some measurements off the radar, and it looked to me as if the wall cloud was probably about 1.5 miles wide, as indicated by the total width of the debris ball that we see on radar. And probably the tornado, you can't get it perfectly, but I would estimate, based on the radar, as I had estimated visually, that the tornado is probably about 1/2 mile wide here. So this is a wide wedge tornado. It's probably about wider than it is up to the base of that wall cloud, and that when that happens, that's what we call a wedge. It's a large, menacing, potentially deadly tornado that is moving now off to the north and east of the Monroe Center area. It's going to go just to the north of Kirkland, Illinois, and then ultimately it's heading toward the Marengo area of northern Illinois. We're talking a tornado in progress in parts of a tornado warning for parts of DeKalb, Boone, and Ogle and Winnebago counties in northern Illinois.
And Dr. Greg, when you have a storm that is this large, oftentimes within that larger wedge-shaped funnel, you're going to have what are called multiple vortices, or smaller tornadoes that rotate about each other and are often responsible for extreme violence because of the rapid change in the winds as they move around each other. Yeah,
Dr. Fujita back in 1971 proposed that those existed, and they can sometimes be hidden inside the outer edges of the funnel, and dust and debris that is being picked up by the tornado, but they revolve about the tornado, sort of like the individual horses in a merry-go-round, And they too, when they're there, they have their own counterclockwise circulation. They have their own low pressure, and so their wind speed adds to the wind speed of the parent tornado and can give you even more damage in the places that they hit. And we're seeing now, I believe we're seeing some damage that this tornado has done, Carl.
All right, we want to go back out to Matt Salo, who's behind the camera right now. And Matt, tell us where you are right now, what town this is, and what you're seeing. Obviously, it looks like we've been hit pretty hard by this tornado in this town.
Yeah, this town looks like Fairdale. Yeah, there's a lot of damage here. Trees down everywhere. This looks like it was a really, really strong tornado. I'm not sure I can even get through the sound at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, this is really bad.
So we're looking at, looks like we're looking at trees that have been sheared off around the middle, and a lot of structural damage, unfortunately, as well. We hate to see this kind of thing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, Matt Salo, stay on the line with us, and Dr. Greg. You know, we are fascinated by weather, but this is the part that we really don't like, and this is the reason why we put so much energy into tracking these things. And unfortunately, we have just been hit here by a tornado in, is it Fairlawn? Is that right? Is that what I heard?
That I believe so. I'm not seeing
Fairdale, Illinois has just been hit by a tornado, and Dr. Greg, this is sort of the worst part right here.
Yeah, it really is. You can see all the small branches have been stripped off the trees here. A lot of the times that is by flying debris, and you see that big piles of debris ahead of them. I don't think he's likely to be able to go very much farther. He's come into the south edge of the tornado. The tornado winds are weak out on the edge, and then as you get right in toward the edge of where the funnel cloud has gone, or the funnel of the tornado, I should say, has gone, that's usually where the strongest winds are, just slightly to the south of the center of the tornado itself. And he's apparently now gotten very close to that, where I cannot see exactly the nature of the damage, but I believe I see back in behind there some parts of a roof off of a house. I still see some houses that are standing in there, but I also did see that there were some mobile homes in this location. He's panning around. It looks like some structure right there that may have been a mobile home. Looks like it has disappeared. So, and part of the building there, the roof is gone. Oh, there we have roofs and wall.
All right, Greg, your mic has gone down, so I'll go ahead and pop in here. And we're looking at a structure that looks like it's pretty much gone. Let's go back to Matt Safo, who is the chaser that is watching this debris. Matt, tell us what you're looking at right now. Obviously, it looks very, very bad indeed.
Yeah, it's really bad. There's some houses that are...
I'm sorry, go ahead. All right, sounds like we just lost Matt. This is Matt Salo, and again, we are in the town of Fairdale, and people beginning to come out now. We are looking at what appears to be very serious damage. Their entire structures, perhaps if not leveled, extremely damaged. And yes?
I have some new information. Mike Chesterfield, one of our producers here, he was saying that if we get up into the Marengo and Woodstock areas, there's a lot of people up there. We've got about 10,000 people in Marengo and Woodstock, and those two cities, you're talking about the suburbs of Chicago there. Okay. So we've got a lot more population. This could, excuse me, could be moving into.
So let's go back to Dr. Greg. Let's go ahead and take a look at those other storms then while we continue to watch this live feed of the damage coming out of Fairdale. And this is what we had feared, folks, as we were watching this large tornado, and it's not over yet, not by any stretch. And we've got a couple more storms to tell you about. Dr. Greg, do you have that for us?
Yes, indeed. Well, in fact, that Woodstock Marengo area is the same storm that we've just been following here as it heads off toward the northeast into these far west suburbs of the Chicago area. And the storm right now is close to the coming up toward Garden Prairie and Marengo, but then farther to the northeast beyond that would be Woodstock, Illinois. And so dangerous storms, a dangerous tornado we know is in progress and heading that direction. While you're looking, I'm continuing to monitor the radar here and continue to see very strong evidence of a very large tornado that is in progress in the area just now to the north and west of Kirkland, heading toward Garden Prairie and Marengo, as a brand new tornado warning has been issued for parts of DeKalb, Boone, and McHenry counties. Large and extremely dangerous tornado near Kirkland, 9 miles south of Belvedere, heading northeast at 40 miles per hour. So we've been seeing the tornado probably about a half mile wide. This is going to be causing extreme amounts of destruction potentially as it heads up into these popular. There it is. You're seeing moments ago that Wedge tornado there in the left part of your screen as it was moving into the area where you then have recently seen the damage that has been produced by this tornado. So, Carl, dangerous situation here.
Dr. Greg, we want to get you up to date, folks up to date on tornado warnings now in northeast Texas, seeing a very strong circulation now just off to the north of Longview. So let's go over to Mach 6 and show you what's happening there. 3 separate tornado warnings now west of Shreveport and right along I-20 there, and they're moving off to the north and to the east. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. And Sean, let's strap on down and see what's going on with that. That northernmost warning, that's the one with the very strong rotation on it, and we'll move on in and see what's happening with that. So that's a tornado warning that's right along I-20 and west of Shreveport for Gregg and Harrison and Marion counties. That's going until 8:15. Sean, let's flip over to the high resolution radar on 16 and see what's going on here. And you'll notice that you've got a really well-defined circulation. So the circulation is right in here. This is where your little inflow notch is right there. And then you've got the circulation right in there. And as we take a look at the velocity mode, that is a really strong circulation showing up there. And that is now just northeast of Longview. We'll take a look at the normalized rotation. We'll remove some of the noise here. And we are seeing again, really pronounced circulation there that is now just northeast of Longview and moving east, going to be moving near Hallsville as well. And let's also take a look at the debris, and we're not really seeing much debris as of yet. I'll go ahead and move over here. And, oh, yes, we are. Take that back. That has just changed in the last scan. So we are now seeing debris. And again, this is a tornado warning north and east of Longview, Texas. Looks like it's generally going to be headed over towards Hallsville and then over towards Nesbitt as well. The movement on this is now east at 30 miles per hour. Exceptionally strong rotation, really showing up here in the normalized rotation. And we are seeing that little blue area debris as well. So this is an ongoing tornado there north and east of Longview. Couple more tornado warnings off to the south of that as well. And those are now farther south and west relative to Longview. So let's take a look at that. There's the first one we talked about that's going to be passing just to the north of Route 80. Then another tornado warning here near Henderson. And then here around Troop, there's a tornado warning for Rusk County. And that includes Henderson and New London. And then the warning off to the west there, Sean. Another warning here that is for Troop. That's Cherokee and Smith. That includes Troop. And once again, we can take a look at the radar picture and see what's going on the high resolution radar and see what's happening with the rotation. So certainly we are seeing rotation in both of these cases near New London and then also near Troop. So a circulation right here, circulation right here. And but farther to the north, again, just to the north and east of Longview, very, very strong circulation now moving towards Hallsville and Nesbitt. And we are now seeing in that blue, we are seeing debris along with that circulation. All right, we want to get back out now to Matt Salo, and he's been following this storm in Illinois. And Matt, where are you now, and are you still seeing the tornado?
Right now, I am just west of Kirkland, heading east. I'm trying to get east of it a little bit and then go north.
Do you have a visual on the tornado at this time?
It's off in the distance. It's definitely still there, still turning pretty good. I don't have a good, clean visual of it, though.
So it looks like you can very clearly see the wall cloud there and obviously the lightning. So it's going to be just below that area, that sort of lowering there. And it looks like, indeed, there is still a tornado. You getting a look at it now?
Yeah, getting closer.
Okay, so if you are just joining us here, we have been following a live tornado in Illinois, and unfortunately we have seen that it has done some significant damage to at least one small town, Fairdale, in Illinois, and it's been going on for a long time. These are live pictures, and the chaser that is behind the wheel here, Matt Salo, has been following this storm for quite some time, bending to the north, bending to the east, and now a little behind this circulation, trying to catch up with it. But this is an ongoing threat here. Dr. Greg, want to bring you in, and what is it looking like on the radar picture right now?
It continues to look very bad on radar, Carl. I thought we've had reports of a tornado in the area south and east of Toledo. I thought if we could, we ought to take a quick look at that one because there's been a tornado reported at a mobile home park there, Walnut Hills Mobile Home Park in Walbridge. That is near the Toledo area. Tornado warning for Lucas and Wood counties. Go ahead and move that one forward, Sarah. A big rotating ball of a storm. The mobile home park would be up in the middle of the storm, so I'm not sure if the damage there is from wind or tornado, but a potentially multi-centered circulation there. Sarah, if you could give me Gibson Ridge 18. All right. We're going to time this out to be a big, broad thing because there could be wind damage and or tornadoes. That could be coming toward Erie, Ohio, around 8:55 p.m. We'll go to the Gibson Ridge radar here in a moment. We continue to see here the clouds coming in. There it is. There we go. So in this case, just a big, broad storm, but when I take a look at some of the velocity in here, there are more than one circulation centers. It's not nearly as well defined as what we're getting in terms of some of these Illinois storms, but a couple of circulation centers, one headed Millbury Clay Center area, that would be the one closest to the Waldbridge area where we've had a tornado reported, another headed toward the Genoa area. If we could, we'll go back then, Sarah, to the storm that we've been following on Chaser. I have that on Gibson Ridge 19 if you want to just go to that one.
Okay.
And that one continues to have a well-defined hook echo. We've had the tornado down to the south. We've been seeing the damage from that. Now the tornado wraps around. It's getting close to Garden Prairie. The rotation of the tornadoes in that little circle that I've just drawn with the strong rotation still showing up, really strong rotation, big northwest flow, southwest flow. And I'm almost afraid to put on this debris signature. Still some debris that is showing up with that. So a dangerous tornado continues to be in progress there, coming up toward the Garden Prairie and Marengo areas of Illinois. We're talking about a tornado warning for DeKalb, Boone, and McHenry counties in the Illinois area. And I'm going to slide a little bit to the north and east. We still have a tornado warning up to the north of that. It's about, I believe, to move from Illinois into Wisconsin. Hebron area of Illinois, you see on the, well, we've gone to the other radar scan here. There is the hook echo on that one, McHenry County in Illinois. It may move up into Wisconsin then with a tornado warning on that one and a well-defined hook echo. That is the storm that has had tornadoes at times all the way from the Rockford, Illinois area off toward the north and east. So dangerous storms in northern parts of Illinois, about ready to head their way into Wisconsin. And the southern of those two is the one that you're continuing to see on the left with a big wedge tornado that has caused damage in a community. It has overturned semis along I-39, and our chaser is back on the move, continuing to follow this dangerous storm. Carl, pretty impressive. I'm glad the chaser is staying safe. I feel really bad that there have been communities in the path, and we know there has been some damage. We hope that there are no casualties from this tornado.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see what we saw moments ago with this chaser here. So we are following a severe weather outbreak across many parts of the country, all the way from Michigan back through the plains and the Midwest, and then right down into Texas as well. And I want to tell you about a pronounced circulation, a likely tornado here that is not very far away from Shreveport. So there are 3 separate tornado warnings on either side of Interstate 20. This is west of Shreveport, and this cell has got a very strong circulation on it, and we have seen debris on the radar as well. So let's take a look a little bit closer in at what's going on with this storm. This is a tornado warning now for Harrison County, Upshur, Marion, Gregg counties in northeast Texas. The movement is east at 30 miles per hour. And look at the circulation. That is a really well-defined rotational circulation. So what you've got here is that you've got moving towards the radar and away from the radar right in here, just like that. That's the motion. That's that strong circulation. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the high-resolution radar, Sean. And we've actually got a little bit of a donut showing up right in there. That's where the circulation is there. We'll take a look at the velocity signature, and again, just a pronounced velocity signature. Normalized rotation, very, very strong. And then we'll look at the correlation coefficient, and right in there, it's not quite as well defined right now, but there is certainly evidence of debris. So we're looking for something that sort of stands out. And you notice as we go back in time, indeed, we did see debris signatures showing up, and got a little bit stronger for a time there, and then began to weaken just a little bit right in there. That is our ongoing tornado warning. And so there's a look once again at the storm that's going to be headed to the north of Marshall and right into Nesbitt. Dr. Gregg?
And Carl, as you've pointed out, that by virtue of having that donut shape to it, it is wrapped in rain, and so don't count on seeing this coming. Follow Carl's advice there and seek shelter if you're in the path of this tornado, because as he showed, there's a tornado in progress with a debris signature. We have another tornado warning off to the north and east of St. Louis in Illinois, beyond, farther south and west of the ones that we've shown you in northern Illinois. This one also is one that you wouldn't recognize probably just by looking at it, that there was a tornado there, but around the Mount Olive area, and I'll pop up the velocity here, we've had at least a funnel cloud with that. It doesn't have the intense rotation as the one that Carl just showed, but it has pretty strong rotation nonetheless. The northeast and the southwest winds there just to the east of Mount Olive, a possible tornado. There have been a couple of tornado and or funnel cloud reports with this storm, so that one will be a tornado that's around the Walshville, Mount Olive, Taylor Springs, Hillsborough area as it comes up across Illinois. And we're talking about a tornado warning here that is for parts of Macoupin and Montgomery counties in Illinois. So dangerous storms in Illinois at this time. Brand new tornado warning in Louisiana, St. Helena Parish, Tangipahoa Parish, Amite County, Mississippi, and in Illinois, Marshall and Peoria and Woodford counties in Illinois. So an active evening. The no cap. Yesterday we had a warm layer aloft, Carl, that was inhibiting some of the storms. No such cap this evening. The storms are pretty much free to go, some of them along a cold front, some of them just out in the warm air ahead of the cold front, and some of them very destructive tornadoes, Carl.
And Dr. Gregg, there we're taking a look at the brand new tornado warning that is now in effect for St. Helena and Tangipahoa parishes in Louisiana, coming up into southern Mississippi. That's Amite, Pike, Walthall counties in southern Mississippi. Also now I want to go back to the storms in northeast parts of Texas, because we've got an ongoing tornado there. Very dangerous situation there, not very far away from Shreveport. Sean, let's go ahead and zoom in on that and take a look at this exceptionally strong rotation and the debris that we've seen. So that came right across the Longview area and is going to be passing to the north of Marshall. That's Gregg, Harrison, Marion counties under tornado warning. We'll go ahead and time that out for you and take a look at where this is. This is now north of 80 and Hallsville. So the strongest circulation is sitting right in there. There you see that very strong rotational signature there. Let's look at the high resolution radar on 16, Sean, and take a look at that very strong circulation. Still no let up here. I mean, it's been several scans. We've seen this now for a good 15, 20 minutes. Strong rotation, even indication of a tornado vortex signature there. Normalized rotation still very strong, and we are still seeing debris. So this is north of Hallsville and coming towards the Nesbitt and Marshall areas, an ongoing tornado there in northeast Texas. And as we widen out the picture, you see where this is relative to I-20 here and Shreveport, and there are more tornado warnings off to the south. This one in effect right here for Rusk County. We'll look at the velocity data on that, and not as strong as the one to the north, so you can really see the difference between the two. You've got some rotation right in here, but as compared to what's going on with that cell off to the north, that is a very strong signature. So again, take cover right now in Nesbitt and also in Marshall. Dr. Gregg?
And we have down just to the south of Springfield, Illinois, a relatively new tornado warning there. That would be the one that would be for Marshall, Peoria, and Woodford counties. So we're going to show you that one. First, we'll show you the big picture here. The two tornado warnings up in northern Illinois, one about to go into Wisconsin, one here near the Peoria area, one down near Springfield, and one that we showed you off to the north and east of the St. Louis area. So we'll take a look here south of the Springfield area. We're talking about Christian and Sangamon counties, the Auburn, Ball, and Chatham areas. with a possible tornado. I've surveyed damage when I was in graduate school down in this area, so this is certainly an area that has had tornadoes in the past, as have all of these areas. This circulation on these are not quite as strong as the ones that we've been seeing in some of the other storms, but definitely some rotation back in this vicinity of Pawnee, heading up toward the northeast, Breckenridge, New City, the Mount Auburn area with a possible tornado. While on your left there, lit by lightning now, you continue to see off to the right of the road and ahead of the chaser, you continue to see a large wedge tornado that appears to be in progress in northern parts of Illinois. So, Carl, dangerous storms tonight.
No doubt about that. And Dr. Gregg, as you mentioned, tornado warning there in the Toledo metro. Those storms generally headed out towards the lake. You're still looking at the live feed on the left there. If you were just joining us, we saw a live tornado and unfortunately a very strong tornado, a large tornado on the ground there in Illinois, and it continues to be on the ground there in northern Illinois. We're following the chaser's progress. There's the tornado warning in Ohio for Ottawa and Sandusky counties right now. That includes Allen and Port Clinton and Woodville. A confirmed tornado, a spotted tornado along with that storm as it moves there through northwestern Ohio and generally towards a lake area as well. And let's go ahead and take a, I'm sorry, we want to take a look at some of the damage from Fairdale in Illinois. We talked about this live tornado that we saw in the air, and this is as the chaser, after following the tornado, then went up into the town of Fairdale, Illinois, and you see the results there, and absolutely heartbreaking scenes as we are seeing considerable structural damage, obviously very serious damage to trees, and a lot of debris scattered about. It looked like there were some entire structures, maybe mobile homes, that had been obliterated by this very large, very dangerous storm there. This is what it looked like in near Rochelle, Illinois. At this point, the chaser was stopped. He was driving north, and the storm passed on that road, across that road to his north, and then he began to turn east to continue to chase it. But you get a sense of just how large and how scary the storm was as it was coming across northern Illinois. And Matt Salo is still on the phone. He's still chasing the storm. Matt, what can you tell us right now?
I'm kind of on the south side of it, getting hit with some wind and stuff. I think I'm getting into the RFD a little bit here. I'm losing daylight, so I can't really have any visibility on the tornado right now.
Now, I imagine your inclination once the sun goes down is that the chase is probably over at that point. Is that your inclination?
Yes, I really can't see anything at this point.
Yeah, that's good to hear that. Matt Salo has been following the storm all night and brought us those pictures of the damage and of the remarkable tornado there, unfortunately devastating in some areas in northern parts of Illinois. Now, there is an ongoing threat that we want to tell you about. There is still now a warning and a tornado that is headed towards Nesbitt in Texas. This is a tornado warning that is now just north and west of Marshall. So there you get a sense of where it is. It's basically west of Shreveport. There are a couple of tornado warnings, but the one to the north has had a really pronounced rotational signature on it, and the rotation is sitting right in here. That is going to be moving probably just to the north side of Marshall, getting very close to Marshall, and it's now very close to Nesbitt, and we are still seeing a very strong rotation along with the storm. There you see the red and green couplet, so that's where wind is coming towards the radar, wind and rain moving away from the radar. And we'll take a look at the roads here. So this is right to the north, just to the north, I should say, of Interstate 80. It's going to be crossing Route 154 and probably hitting the north side of Marshall and again Nesbitt, which is along 154. This tornado warning going until 8:15. So if you are in Nesbitt or in Marshall, it's time to take cover immediately in these areas as we've got a very strong circulation showing up. Let's go to the high resolution radar and take a look at what the latest there is. And we'll go ahead and track that out first. And it's probably going to, Sean, let's move that just a little to the north of east. And it's probably going to be getting over there into the north side of Marshall. That's going to be somewhere around 18 minutes after the hour. We'll go ahead and time this out once again. And there we go. So that'll be getting into Nesbitt in the next few minutes here, probably about 10 minutes or so, and then over into Woodlawn and again the north side of Marshall. And Sean, let's go ahead and take a look at the high resolution radar once again. And now just west of Nesbitt, very, very strong circulation. See that area of red and green where it's coming together there? A normalized rotation, very strong as well. Not seeing now, we are not seeing a debris signature as we saw earlier. You'll notice as I step back in the frames, you see that little green and blue. So there was clearly debris at one point. We definitely had a tornado at least at one point, and may very well still have a tornado with this pronounced rotation coming towards Nesbitt and towards Marshall. So again, in those areas, please take cover immediately. Dr. Greg, what do you have for us?
We have a couple more tornado warnings that we want to talk about in the Illinois area. One that has had that big wedge tornado, one that is down in the area just to the north of Peoria that we haven't shown you lately, and so we'll go into that one first. This one has had a rotation seen in the storm. Tornado warning for parts of Marshall, Peoria, and Woodford counties. That's near Chillicothe, Illinois, and moving off toward the north and east at about 50 miles per hour or so toward the Bennington, Illinois area. It's past Chillicothe right now. And that you can see the well-defined hook echo again with this one, the inflow notch. So the tornado will be here running off toward the Bennington area. Let's go to the high-definition radar if we can. There's the track of that one toward the Varna and Evans area. No confirmed tornado on this one yet, but certainly is having the capability of doing that. This would be Gibson Ridge 18, and so here is the body of the storm, the hook wrapping around. I'll take a quick look, show the velocities on this one. It is not as strong as some that we're seeing, just has renewed itself, so broad rotation in this one. But if we go back up to the storm closer to the Chicago area, they are sounding sirens. There continues to be at least a funnel seen from the storm that we have been tracking with that big wedge tornado. We're talking about Boone, DeKalb, and McHenry counties in the path of this particular storm, with the tornado now in this spring area coming up toward the Marengo area, and so a dangerous storm there. Sarah, let's just jump over to the high-definition radar, as this one is getting very, very complex to be tracking. I'll show the velocity signatures on that and move it from there. There's a couple of circulations following each other now. When I show you the velocity signature, the strongest one is showing up right in here. So that will be heading toward the Heartland area. It is just missing Marengo to the north, but it has on its heels a second circulation center here that's near Garden Prairie, and that one probably is going to clip some of the locations that would be calling themselves the north side of Marengo. So dangerous storms there. What do we see in the debris signature in this one? Not as sharp as it had been at times when we had a much clearer single hook echo. So this storm is now really two storms that have merged and moving across the area from near Garden Prairie to Marengo, heading toward Woodstock and the Heartland areas of northern Illinois. So dangerous tornadoes continue. You continue to see the chaser, I believe, following this storm up into the area. At times, you may be able to see the tornado illuminated by lightning, but it is obviously getting dark and getting dangerous to be chasing a storm that is evolving very rapidly structure-wise with mergers of storms and getting night. That's kind of a dangerous combination. We'll hope he stays safe. Carl?
All right, Dr. Greg, so we want to take a look back here, kind of sort of step back and look at the big picture and show you what's going on with the storms across the country. So this is a huge area that is being affected by this severe weather outbreak. You see all of the individual warnings there as they line up from Louisiana up into Arkansas. Maybe, Sean, we can just kind of drop down and take a look at these in a regional sense. Now a tornado warning there in northeastern parts of Louisiana as well as southern Mississippi. Ongoing tornado warning west of Shreveport, and that is for the Marshall and Nesbitt. Very strong circulation along with that. There's also another tornado warning to the south of that, and we'll drop on in and show you what's happening there in Shreveport. So again, still seeing a very strong circulation. This is going to pass just to the north, or maybe along the north end of Marshall. That's a tornado warning for Harrison and for Marion counties there in northeastern Texas, and there is the circulation. Not quite as strong as it was earlier, but it's still very strong, and again generally headed towards the north side of the Marshall area. It's moving east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour, and will continue towards that Route 59 there. and generally get to the north side of Marshall in fairly short order. There's a look at tracking it out and coming into Nesbitt in just a few minutes, and then getting over to Lee at about 8:40. All right, Sean, let's back out once again and maybe take a look at some other areas. There's also a tornado warning now in northern Mississippi, which we can show you, and that has been right along the Mississippi and Louisiana state line, kind of a lone wolf out there, not a lot of activity otherwise in terms of severe warnings anyway, and that is right along 55. You see the curvature in that cell, and that tornado warning in effect there for St. Helena, Tangipahoa parishes, and Amite and Pike and Walthall counties, and that's going until 8 o'clock. So the circulation is going to be right here, right where you've got that little bend in the storm, and that is now coming towards the I-55 corridor. So take cover there immediately around Kentwood and areas right along 55. Now we'll take a view farther to the north and broaden out once again, show you the string of storms that's now coming up through parts of Illinois right now. We've got a lot of very heavy rain coming over the same areas in southern parts of Arkansas, so an ongoing threat there for flash flooding. Here you see the tornado warnings that continue across a lot of Illinois. Dr. Gregg's going to get into the detail of those in just a moment. Tornado warning now just north and west of Chicago, a couple of them near Springfield. Let's go ahead and drop on down, Sean, and show you what's going on with those. We'll cover each of those from north to south. And so first of all, north and east of St. Louis, tornado warning right now, and that includes the Walshville area, and that is for Macoupin and Montgomery counties. That's going until the top of the hour. So right in here where that little notch is, that's near East Fork. That's where we're concerned about a possible tornado, seeing at least a broader circulation right now along with that. Then well off to the north, we've got more tornado warnings to tell you about. And again, Dr. Gregg's going to get into more detail with these in just a moment. Circulation here is now approaching Taylorville. That is Christian and Macon counties under tornado warning. Then let's continue off towards the north, Sean, and get up into the northern part of the state. There you see some ongoing storms, a tornado warning here in Marshall County, and then let's continue a little farther to the north as well. That's now west of 39, and let's look at the one that is now north and west of Chicago. That is McHenry County under a tornado warning there, and I believe, yes, we still have a tornado warning not very far away from Toledo, where there was actually a spotted tornado, so some severe weather off to the east as well. The eastern extent of this is going to be limited. It's really not going to get past Pennsylvania because the air does get much drier in short order there today, but that is going to change tomorrow. There you go, Ottawa County under tornado warning, that going until 9:15. So, Dr. Gregg, I imagine you want to get into the particulars on those Illinois storms?
Yeah, I just had an oh man moment over here, Carl, taking a look at the Doppler radar. The storm has definitely reorganized. The one that we were following that had the big Wedge tornado continues to move up in the area now in northern Illinois near the Heartland area, heading up toward the area north and west of Woodstock, Illinois. So we're going to take a look at some of these storms. It is this one that is up north and west of Chicago here that has given me one of these ah man moments, but there are additional storms. We'll probably take a look at some of those. So Sarah, I think, will drive us up here into the Illinois storm. And we'll come in and look at that one. Ultimately, I have that on Gibson Ridge 19, Sarah. McHenry County, you have a tornado warning. This storm is really rotating. It has gotten itself back together again down near this Hook Echo area, is reorganized and is going to be heading up toward McHenry with a tornado. We've had a history of tornadoes with this particular storm and dangerous destruction with some of this particular storm. So taking a look here, tracking that one out, bonus the Heartland area, Greenwood, Richmond, you're seeing the dangerous circulation coming up in that direction. We go to the high definition radar, we'll see that I'll show you a little bit more about what gave me that oh man moment. That will be Gibson Ridge 19. Just looking at it, it has gotten a little bit of a merger that's come in on the south side. Sometimes that fuels the storm. The other big picture that you can see is the spiraling around here. But the oh man moment came when I took a look at asked the radar to quantify the rotation, and it is way up there. Blues, greens, yellows, reds. Carl, I believe in the Texas storm was showing some reds. We have not one but two red circulation centers here, so very strong rotation has reorganized in this particular storm. I'll go back to the way we normally see the radar. And if we did not have the Doppler, you probably would not get such a strong portrayal of this. But one or two tornado circulations are heading off toward the Heartland area. That will head up toward Spring Grove, and another maybe heading up toward the Hebron area. So if I
tornado again just 1 mile west of Marengo, so there's still a tornado on the ground at the moment with that storm.
Yeah, still a tornado with this storm, but now if I show you the velocity, without quantifying it or intensifying it, you do see that broad circulation with a really tight circulation here, another tight circulation there. So it may be what we call, it may be cycling. Perhaps one tornado that has made a left turn, the next tornado reforming farther to the south and heading off to the north and east. We'll see if that hypothesis holds true. What the question is, debris signatures, not a tremendous amount at the moment. Mostly we're seeing this as rain, so it may have weakened. Or let's see, we're seeing this up at around 4,000 feet. Maybe some of the debris is settled out, but it may begin to produce some additional debris. Certainly a very dangerous storm that has, by the lavender color here of the tornado warning, is one that has been producing a tornado. Ashton, when it was quite a while back, reported damage and injuries at a food warehouse. That was about 6:40 p.m. And so a history of damage being reported with this particular storm. Now, I guess if we slide to the south, Sarah, we can get a few of the other storms down farther to the south in Illinois.
Southern one that's, let's see.
Closest to St. Louis, off to the north and east of St. Louis, Macoupin and Montgomery counties in Illinois. This is off to the west of Vandalia, Illinois. This one, you can see a little bit more of that hook structure that we often show that is showing up. And I can pull this one, I believe, once we are ready to do that.
I'm going to time this one out in the meantime.
Time that out, and I'll pull it up into Gibson Ridge 18 when we're ready to go there. The tornado circulation right now around the East Fork area, getting some unobstructed, unrained into air now coming into its east flank. So that will be coming up probably toward or just to the north of Ramsey at about 8:14 toward the Fillmore area as well in Illinois here. And if we go to the
18.
Gibson Ridge 18, we can take a look there. It's not a tremendously intense or tight circulation at this point. You have a lot of west winds over around the Coffeen area. You see some eastbound winds. So a broad circulation may tighten up in that Fillmore Ramsey area as we continue to monitor this particular storm. There are additional tornado warnings that are across the Illinois area. We're going to slide farther to the north there, up toward the Springfield area, and there near just to the west and southwest of Moweaqua, near the Taylorville area, you see a ragged appendage coming out of the southwest side of this storm. And I will take a quick, while you're doing that, Sarah, I'll pull up another radar that we can take a high definition look at that one. There you have, Sarah's done some street level mapping as this storm is coming across the Taylorville area toward Moweaqua in central parts of Illinois. And Sarah's moving this one forward. Moweaqua about 8:13, Dalton City about the 8:29 time frame. And I have this one also on Gibson Ridge 18, Sarah. There has been a tornado reported with this one, a funnel cloud around the DeVernon area about 7:19 Central Time. And there is the radar. I'll zoom into this one, ask the radar what kind of velocities are we seeing. And again, on this one, a broader rotation, not the kind of circulation that we're seeing up in the suburbs. Brand new scan has just come in, and so some indication of rotation with this storm, but it's not the kind of rotation we've been seeing in the tornado that is up in northern Illinois. Do we have another stop that we're going to here, Sarah?
I believe this is it. We can go back to the northern.
Yeah, let's have another look at the farthest northern storm that has had the history of producing destructive large wedge tornado. That one is in McHenry County off to the north and west of Crystal Lake. This one is bypassed Chicago. Des Plaines is up near the Chicago O'Hare Airport. So we're getting up near the Wisconsin line here with the strong circulation in that. This one will be in Gibson Ridge 19, Sarah, when we're ready to go to that one. And tornado heading up toward from right around Heartland right now, coming up toward what will probably be Genoa City, moving into the Wisconsin area, and Antioch, Illinois, just to the west of Antioch, Illinois, right near the Wisconsin-Illinois border there. Antioch about 8:33 p.m. If we go to the Gibson Ridge, we'll have another look at this one in high definition and see that it continues to look a little bit ragged in its overall appearance, but in that area just to the north of Heartland has extremely strong rotation again, with still a couple of possible centers in this tornado. So what doesn't look so impressive in its precipitation pattern, still in its velocity structure, is looking like a very, very dangerous tornadic storm.
All right, Dr. Greg, and we want to take another look at what happened earlier today. We're in the middle of an ongoing severe weather outbreak across a lot of the country, and we had a live tornado on the air here at the Weather Channel. This was the scene about an hour ago as a large wedge tornado was near Rochelle in Illinois, and you see how it's got a very wide shape there, a damaging and destructive tornado that was passing across the road that this chaser was on. He was driving from the south off to the north there, and the storm passed to his north. Been following it for some time, and then he came up on the town of Fairdale, Illinois, that was hit directly by that tornado. There you see some of the significant damage there. A lot of structural damage, a lot of debris strewn about. This is absolutely the worst thing that we could see after watching these tornadoes and knowing that they could in fact cause this kind of damage. This is a large tornado and a really devastating storm for at least some parts of northern Illinois. This was earlier, just moments ago, about an hour ago, watching this storm, and we've got an ongoing tornado threat. Now, I also want to show you what's been going on down in Texas, where things are looking perhaps a little bit better right now. There is still a tornado warning in effect in northeastern Texas, but the rotation is not quite as well defined as it once was. So tornado warning here to the north and to the west of Shreveport. That's now just north of I-20. And Sean, let's zoom on down and take a look at the particulars here. So that is coming into the north side of Marshall. That's Harrison and Marion counties going until 8:15. And the circulation, again, still showing up on the radar, but it's not as well defined. Let's go to the high resolution radar and show you what's happening with that right now. So here we are seeing some evidence of the circulation in this sort of a green and red, but watch as I step back in time. You'll notice that it's just a pinpoint at a certain point right in there, and right at that time that was north of Hallsville. We also saw some debris showing up, especially in the previous scans right there. So again, an ongoing severe weather threat across a lot of the country. We've got much more coming up in 60 seconds. We'll continue to time these storms out and show you the very latest right here on the Weather Channel.
We are here on the Weather Channel covering this massive tornado just west of Chicago near Rochelle, Illinois. This was a short time ago now. It hit a town and is still on the move. And you can see this was some video again from a storm chaser who is out there in northern Illinois. An incredible sight to see. I mean, you don't get to see a tornado like this very often live, and that's what we had here on the Weather Channel. And there it is again, earlier near Rochelle, tornado that was rolling its way across northern portions of the state of Illinois. And there's a lot more severe weather to cover for you tonight. That is why we are in extended coverage to keep you and your loved ones safe.
All right, so this is some of the damage left behind in the town of Fairdale. Okay, so the video was from Rochelle about an hour ago. A massive, potentially half-mile wide wedge tornado, meaning it's wider than it is tall, just obliterating a town. Fairdale, Illinois, we have video. We're going to again, I'm sure, talk to the chaser, Matt Sallow, who took this video, and he still is there with us. And of course, he showed us the video and then, of course, the damage in Fairdale. This is about 80 miles northwest of Chicago. So lots to get to, but it's not only Chicago and Illinois, all the way to the deep south. And this, again, has the potential to move east to the eastern seaboard tomorrow. So a lot of big cities being impacted as well, and we'll kind of delineate who will be impacted there and when. Thanks so much for being with us for our extended coverage. I'm meteorologist Alexandra Steele.
And I'm Alex Wallace. Now, so far today, we've seen several reported tornadoes, homes damaged, semi-trucks blown over, and the most important thing for you to know, the threat continues into these late hours.
Yeah, we have live crews, teams of meteorologists and reporters in the areas impacted. Also, expert analysis, of course, on what is happening with expertise, of course, you can find nowhere else.
And we've got severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes and storm specialist Carl Parker getting us started. They are in the lab, and guys, an incredible sight earlier. How are things looking right now on the radar?
Well, we've got ongoing tornado warnings, a very energetic atmosphere today. You've got very strong winds in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere fueling these fast-moving storms, and ongoing storms there in Texas and up into Louisiana and certainly into Illinois. I want to bring in Dr. Greg right now to talk about these Illinois storms, and still a string of tornado warnings in effect right now.
Yeah, and the storm that had the big tornado that we saw there in the video is still in progress. It's getting close to Wisconsin. It's up near and north of Woodstock, Illinois right now. Let's take a look. We'll take a look at that one, but also wanted to show you this one that's down north and east of Peoria, but that will be coming toward the Chicago area in a little bit less than 2 hours if it holds together. So we'll start with that one. We're talking about a tornado warning that's in LaSalle County. That's a relatively new county that's been warned for the storm that's coming off to the north and east. It's in the area, there's rotations in the area down near Evans and heading up toward the area near and probably just north of Streeter and toward the Grand Rapids, Illinois area as this storm moves northeast at about 45 miles per hour. And at that pace, you can see that it would come into the Chicago area just a little bit before the right downtown Chicago, 9:52, the far south suburbs like Joliet there, about 9:14 p.m. if it holds together. So Chicago, you've been waiting and perhaps dreading that. Your time is perhaps nearing unless this storm begins to weaken. Let's go then to take a look to the storm that has missed you to the west but has caused damage all along its path. That's in McHenry County in Illinois, about ready to move up into Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth counties in Wisconsin with a very dangerous storm there, showing some signs in terms of the shape of the storm of it trying to gust out as it gets more of this big elongated line. But when we look inside of it, it really has a big circulation. You see this one band that's shaped this way, another this way, and in the middle, we've been seeing at times 2 circulation centers that are heading up in the area north and west of McHenry towards Salem in Wisconsin. This one, Sarah, if are we tracking this out? Going to track this out, and we'll see that is going to come across Highway 12. That's going to be a very dangerous zone. Coming up to the Salem area, you see Kenosha about 8:49 p.m. For the track of this particular storm. Let's go to the high-definition radar, and we'll see the details of this. I've been talking about there one line that is gusting out, some of these bands that are coming in. So this one would be one that's not the classic hook echo on the southwest side that you would see, but if we go to the velocities in this, oh my, it certainly continues to have that broad circulation that's up in that area where I talked about the 2 bands changing orientation, well-defined tornado circulation there heading up toward the Spring Grove area and probably up toward Twin Lakes areas. Let's see if we have a debris signature. Debris signature is weakened somewhat. We're up at an altitude here of about 4,000 feet away from the radar. So that's certainly a good news, but I would expect that we're getting possible wind damage that could be with this and possible tornado damage that are up in the midst of this big ball of precipitation that is working its way from the areas west of Spring Grove, Illinois, up toward the Twin Lakes area of Wisconsin. So Carl, those are a couple of the dangerous storms. Keeping an eye for the next couple of hours on storms coming toward the Chicago area. They'll also be probably the next hour or so working their way toward Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
That's right, and we've got ongoing storms farther south as well, down into parts of Arkansas and into northeast Texas. Very strong circulation. We are getting some reports of damage not very far away from Marshall, Texas. So let's zoom on down and show you where these warnings are. They are now west of Shreveport on either side of Interstate 20. We've seen circulations to the south of 20, but this is the storm that has had the strongest circulation on it. Not as much now, but but there is an ongoing tornado warning until 15 minutes after the hour, that for Harrison and Marion counties, and that's now coming right into the Marshall area. So let's take a look at the high-resolution radar and show you what's going on with that. So we're going to look inside the storm, and what we're seeing right now is a large area of strong wind. Where you see that green just happens to be lined up with the radar, and that strong wind is now pressing right around the circulation. That is not, it's much broader than it was once was, and that's coming right now into Marshall. But as I zoom out a little bit and we'll step back in time, you notice that this broad circulation now was much tighter when it was north of Hallsville and near Nesbitt. So that is where we likely had a tornado, and we did in fact have debris showing up at that time. Now we'll take you off to the south and to the west. Here is where there's a new tornado warning. This is for Rusk County in northeast Texas. The movement here is east at 25 miles per hour. That circulation is now just west of Henderson, so heads up there in Henderson. Possible tornado coming your way and moving off to the north and the east. Now let's take you farther north and go up into parts of Arkansas. There again is that tornado, those two tornado warnings we told you about. Now you'll notice that these storms are coming across the same areas, especially right through there. So you've got repeated rounds of very heavy rain in the southern part of Arkansas. So there is now a flash flood warning in effect there in southern Arkansas. There's a look at the 12-hour rainfall. So these yellow areas are where we've had more than 3 inches of rain. And then when you get into those orange colors, you're starting to talk about 4, 5, maybe 6 inches of rain. So terrific amount of wet weather and more storms coming in right now. So you've got an ongoing flash flood warning there. Also a severe thunderstorm warning for El Dorado in Arkansas. That's coming right up towards Route 63. Could be some 1-inch hail and damaging wind. And there is now a brand new severe thunderstorm warning up into central parts of Arkansas and right into the Little Rock Metro, or at least the northwest side of the Little Rock Metro. That is Perry, Pulaski, Saline counties. That is going until 8:30 Central Time. And the concern here, once again, is going to be large hail and damaging wind. So ongoing storms in the south there across parts of Arkansas and Texas. The storms in North Carolina have settled down a good bit, but we've got a long way to go in this severe weather event. Alex and Alex, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Carl. And we want to head down into Texas because joining us on the phone is Reggie Cooper, who's the fire chief in Marshall, Texas, an area that is still under a tornado warning. A Doppler radar indicated tornado.
All right, so reports of damage just west of the town, Reggie. So tell us, what have you seen or what have you heard?
Well, in actuality, we have been monitoring some of the Harrison County Sheriff's Office's radio traffic, and we did hear where a storm had possibly damaged, if not destroyed, some homes. That is unconfirmed at this time, but we have heard that.
Now, do you have an estimate on how many homes and in what community that was?
It's my understanding, like I said, we were just monitoring some of the radio traffic in Harrison County. It's going to be inside Harrison County, of course. We do not have an exact location, and again, I say it's pretty unconfirmed.
Reggie, are you right now in Marshall?
I am not in Marshall. I'm actually in Tyler. I've been monitoring the situation through our dispatchers and our officers that are on the streets in Marshall, and no reports of any damage inside of Marshall has been noted to me.
But right now we are looking at the radar. Of course, there is a tornado warning posted, and you can see it moving right over Marshall once again. So
Absolutely.
You're telling us that radio kind of impacted people talking about that there is potential damage around the city.
Yes, ma'am. We were actually monitoring the Harrison County Sheriff's Office radio traffic, and they have actually stated that there were actually destroyed homes or houses here between our location and Longview. Now, I'm not sure exactly how far west that's going to be because, of course, Harrison County is a very large county. We went ahead and set the alarms off prior to those notifications coming in, because even though the storm seems to be kind of breaking up and moving a little bit north of us, Harrison County, again, is a very large county. We wanted our residents to be very, very careful and cautious.
Now, Chief Cooper, did you have any reports of any sightings of a tornado?
Now, within the city of Marshall in itself.
And Chief, in Harrison, are there places to go? Right now the tornado warning's posted. You can see certainly that strong supercell moving right over the city. Do people have storm shelters? Are they used to this there?
In actuality, we do not actually have designated storm shelters within the city of Marshall. There are a couple of locations, but the biggest thing is we wanted our citizens to remain at home, get into a spot where it's a small room, windowless spot, and try to just take all precautions and do not go outside under any means. Do not go outside to look.
All right. Well, Chief Cooper, we certainly appreciate it there. We're going to continue to follow this. Again, the area is still under a tornado warning there. The city of Marshall, that's Harrison, as well as Marion counties until 8:15 local time. So still a dangerous situation there. Get into that safe place, that shelter. If you have a basement, get into that. If not, innermost portion of your home on the lowest floor.
All right, let's go right now to the lab once again and kind of digest and take a look at some of these storms again, talking about Marshall and, of course, what's happening in Illinois.
Yeah, we still have three tornado warnings in Illinois and one in Wisconsin. I want to bring in severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes to talk about this. And Greg, you've got a lot of wind in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, so these things might keep going for a while.
Well, and testament to that wind is the fact that this storm that had produced that big wedge tornado farther downstate in Illinois has now raced to the Wisconsin line. It's going 60 miles per hour as it heads up into the area. It's going to go just to the south of the Milwaukee area. So we're talking about this storm here. That's the one that has produced damage. You saw the big wedge tornado in our video if you've been watching us for a while. We'll then look at, after that, down at a storm that's north and east of Peoria that will be coming toward the Chicago area. So we're talking about a big supercell thunderstorm here that's had some merges with that. It's coming out of McHenry County and then up into the Wisconsin area, and we'll slide along with that. As a big tail that comes down south along that. That's a bit of a gust front. And slide to the north a bit, Sarah, and we'll get the name of the counties up into the Wisconsin area, coming up into Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth counties in Wisconsin. So right here, that is the Wisconsin-Illinois line, and this big circulation, it has one band coming in sort of spiraling that way, another band that's spiraling that way, and a big broad rotation center right on the state line there near Richmond now that is where the tornado or multiple tornadoes are likely to be. Let's go to the high definition radar if we can. We'll see if we can straighten this out. I've switched to the radar now out of Milwaukee to show this one. And so here is what we're seeing. From this one, it looks like a little bit more clearer, big supercell thunderstorm. There has been recently a tornado right there, not very far away from Harvard in Illinois. Now the circulation is along this area, right along the Illinois-Wisconsin border. When I go to the high definition radar and the velocities, it is still showing this shear line along that gust front, not quite as strongly rotating as it had been when it was having that big wedge tornado, and not showing a debris signature at this point. So seems like it's gusting out a little bit, still likely to be producing at least occasional tornadoes as it comes north and east of Harvard, Illinois, up toward the area south and east of Lake Geneva in Wisconsin, and north and west of the Twin Lakes area in Wisconsin. And that will take it up into an area that will come south of the Milwaukee area, down into generally the Kenosha, Racine area of Wisconsin from this general area right around Richmond right now. So tracking that out, that takes it probably up around the Racine area, about 841 across the Salem area and north of the Avon areas. Now farther downstate in Illinois, we have a supercell thunderstorm that is down north and east of Peoria now, getting close to Ottawa, Illinois. It's not going nearly as fast as that storm, but it's still making steady progress toward the Chicago metro area. It does not have the kind of rotation that the storm that I just showed you had, at least at one point, but still some rotation there showing up around the Streeter area, coming up then toward the Verona area, LaSalle County. You have a tornado warning on that one. This one, if we track it out, if it continues to hold together, would be coming toward Chicago area, downtown Chicago, shortly before 10 o'clock. Joliet, the far southwest suburbs, about 9:14 p.m. As this dangerous storm probably is going to continue, so we'll need to continue to monitor this one. You can see that the storm's getting a little spotty here. There are not too many storms now left coming toward the northwest suburbs of Chicago, nor toward the south suburbs, so this is not a solid line of storms. Let's go to the Gibson Ridge 18, Sarah. We'll take a look at this storm in detail. And it has several cores within it of hail near Macon, near the Mowequa area. if I ask the radar to show me where the velocity signature, the rotation is, that is down in the area, and I'll slide it up a little bit here so you see it better. The best rotation, there is a little bit of rotation showing up here west of Mawequa. The strongest of it is right in about there. So this is a little less organized with the circulation than some of the previous storms, but we'll continue to monitor this one. We have one storm that's farther downstate, off to the north and east of the St. Louis area in Illinois, and we'll slide to that one with a tornado warning down to the east of Springfield, Illinois. There, Macon, Moultrie, and Shelby counties. This is a little bit cleaner, individualized supercell thunderstorm at this point. While Sarah's doing that, I'll see if I can pull it up on a high definition radar here and take a look at that one. And let me see. I guess, well, I'll just be satisfied with this one for the time being. This one is south of Decatur, crossing around the Mawequa area. Yeah, I did have it pulled up on the other radar, and I thought I had the wrong storm. Heading up toward the Lovington area of central Illinois with, if you want to pull up 18, Sarah, I do have that right storm loaded up there. It's not in a position that is easily seen, though, in terms of the velocity. So down around the Assumption area, heading toward the Bethany, the Lovington area is where the circulation is with this storm. But by far the worst of the storms in the Illinois area has been the one that's now up on the Wisconsin border. Carl?
Dr. Greg, we want to go back down and show you what's happening in parts of Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. We are still looking at warnings down here. We've got a tornado warning for a few more minutes. The one that had been rapidly rotating now showing more of a damaging wind threat than anything else. So we'll move on down into northeast Texas and along I-20. There is the tornado warning for Rusk that's going for just a little bit longer here. Actually, it has been extended now to 8:45. So we've got an extension on that tornado warning for Rusk County, and there's your circulation very close to Henderson. And then off to the north of that, there is a a severe thunderstorm warning, and then another severe thunderstorm warning on the cell that had been warned for the tornado, and we were seeing some debris on the radar. We're getting some reports of damage as well north and west of Marshall. That's a severe warning for Harrison and Marion counties. And I want to take a look at the high resolution radar. So what's happened here is that circulation, underneath that circulation, we've watched a big bow develop. And so here it is. There's the circulation right in there. And underneath of that, winds are really surging out and across and into Scottsville. And sometimes, depending on the way that the radar is oriented, we can get a really good look at that wind. And that's exactly what's happened in this case. So that bright green area is the wind that is surging forward on the underside of that circulation where the big bow is. And in fact, if I step it back just a couple of scans here, look at the blue right there. That was telling us that we were getting winds of 75 miles per hour at about 1,500 feet. So very strong wind coming in with the storm even once that tornado threat had subsided. Now off to the south of that, there's your severe warning with some wind and some hail. And then here is the ongoing tornado warning in Henderson, seeing a broader area of circulation near Henderson now, but certainly there could be a tornado along with that. Now let's move off to the north and go up into southern parts of Arkansas and see what's happening there. Now the one thing that we have noticed is training of storms, which is to say that you've got individual storms that are moving off towards the east or a little north of east, but the axis is not changing much at all, which means you're getting repeated rounds of very heavy rain. And in fact, we've had on the order of 3 to 4 to 5 inches of rain with these storms already. Those orange colors indicating where you're talking about 4 or 5 inches of rain. And there you go, 4.1, not very far away from Longview there in Arkansas, and 4 inches just north of El Dorado. So heavy rain, and there's an ongoing severe threat as well in the central and southern part of the state of Arkansas. Alex, back to you.
All right, Carl, thank you so much. Well, on the phone also tonight, we have storm chaser Matt Salo.
Man, that's right. He actually caught that tornado on camera when it was near Rochelle, Illinois, as well as some of the damage in Fairdale. So, Matt, we certainly appreciate you joining us here. You're now in Belvidere, Illinois at this point. Are you still chasing storms, and what are you seeing?
No, actually, I'm heading south on 39 now. I'm done chasing for the night. I'm kind of behind the storms now.
All right, so, you know, Matt, I was listening to you while this was happening live about an hour and a half ago when this incredibly huge wedge tornado came through. And, you know, I heard you say in 23 years of chasing, you've never seen a tornado this massive. Talk about what it was like, and I want to give our viewers a perspective on the monstrosity that this thing is that we've seen today.
Well, like I said, I haven't seen a tornado that big. I don't even know what I was thinking at the time. I wasn't really thinking. I was just focused on the tornado.
I can only imagine. A mesmerizing sight, no doubt about it. Now, in the aftermath of that tornado rolling on through, the sobering thing, you know, a lot of us as meteorologists, we get excited as we see this on the radar and then we see it there in the pictures. But then we pull in and we see some of the damage. Can you describe some of the damage that you saw and some of the structures that were damaged?
Yeah, I've never really seen anything like that. Some houses were heavily damaged. I would say very heavily damaged. Some were completely leveled. Trees were completely sheared off. There were some cars that looked like they had been tossed.
So, Matt, you know, when you were driving, and this is the video, there's Matt in the car. This is what he was looking at, this wedge tornado. He was about 80 miles northwest of Chicago. It's a wedge tornado because wider than it is tall. And then, you know, Matt, we're watching you drive on I-39 right north, and you can see these cars and tractors just beaming forward and driving right toward it. I mean, were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I was surprised. It's not like you couldn't see it.
I mean, as a chaser, do you see that often? Are people just that nonchalant about it?
Yeah, you do see it. It's unfortunate that people do that, but there was a lot of chasers out too, so.
All right, but you got it. You certainly caught it. Wow. All right, so now it's become dark there, so now you're traveling south on I-39, kind of giving up chasing for the night tonight?
Yep.
All right, well, Matt, we certainly appreciated those photos. Incredible, no doubt about it. Unfortunately, of course, the damage there in Fairdale. Hopefully, we don't have any casualties or any injuries there with that. But we want to send it back now to the lab and get a little analysis on some of that video. And, guys, I mean, you just don't see this very often, particularly live on TV.
No, that's exactly right. And a very large tornado. And oftentimes, these larger tornadoes will break down into what are called multiple vortices. And you've got extreme violence when you've got these individual funnels, essentially, that are rotating about each other, and that's exactly what we saw in that video.
Yeah, that's right. The winds of the multiple vortices add to the wind of the parent tornado, so the places that get hit by those, especially the right side of those multiple vortices, they get the strongest winds of all. Big wedge tornado that's showing up here. You see the big, it's wedge because it's wider than it is tall up to the cloud base. Big wide wall cloud that is coming down, and then even a well-defined rotation above that. So a huge tornado, a huge rotation. You can see the rotation here. It doesn't, we don't have to do time lapse on this. It is spinning like a clock, so to speak, as this, and it's moving very fast, probably about 45 miles per hour across the countryside here as this tornado is rolling across, I believe it was the Rochelle area.
So people understand the mechanics of this. When we're looking at that wall cloud there, that larger feature, and the tornadoes coming from that, that's the bottom of the updraft, the rotating updraft that extends a good, what, 40, 50,000 feet up into the sky.
Yeah, absolutely. There's inflow coming in. It wraps around the backside, and then that corkscrews its way all the way up into the top of the storm. So the inflow is coming in here and rising up. It wraps its way around the front side of the wall cloud a little bit more, and then it's just corkscrewing up inside the storm. So that wall cloud represents the bottom of the updraft of this rotating thunderstorm, and because the thunderstorm has low pressure, has so much rotation, it develops a low pressure inside of that. That helps pull the air up. It also allows the air to condense closer down to the ground. It doesn't have to rise as much to reach those lower pressures and turn into clouds. So the wall cloud comes down. It also is often humidified. You see this rain off to the east here. Sometimes that gets pulled in and you get higher humidity air that allows the cloud to drop down. I call it a layer of a layer cake that's down below the prevailing cloud base, and that's what you call the wall cloud.
And there are a lot of different motions in the tornado. You've got the circular motion, obviously, but then there's also motion into the tornado and then up through the tornado, vertical motion.
Yeah, there's very strong inflow to the tornado, and then in a wide tornado like this one, it will, whoops, we keep zooming out. Wide tornado like this one, the air will come up along the edge. There may actually be a little bit of sinking motion down at the center of the tornado because the strongest rotation is down about here. So the updraft goes up the edges. There's inflow. And then, of course, the whole tornado has very strong rotation. Now, typically, the fastest rotation will be over on the south side along the edge, near the edge of the funnel. If the north side of the tornado usually has weaker winds than the south side, because on that south side, the motion of the tornado itself, as it races off to the northeast at 45, 50 miles per hour, adds to the counterclockwise winds on that side of the tornado.
So that's at least part of the reason why you'll have this sort of haphazard damage where on one side of the street there's total damage and on another side of the street there's not that much.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Plus then you can have these multiple funnels inside that one home may be hit by the multiple vortex, the suction vortex, and its faster winds. The next house across the street might have been missed, and that could make the difference of 50 to 100 miles per hour difference between those two locations, hit or miss by one of these internal suction vortices.
Yeah, very capricious in nature. All right, let's take a look at a new tornado warning out, and Dr. Gregg will give you a moment to sort of reset with your radar. So this is going to be on Mach 7, and new tornado warning here in Illinois. Not the strongest of rotations, not as strong as some that we have seen tonight, but nonetheless a tornado warning there. And again, we want to go over to Mach 7, and so this is in central parts of Illinois, and okay, we'll go ahead and move over to 47, and here we go. This is Fayette County, and this is for Bowling Green and Carson, and that's going until 9 o'clock Central Time, so that is west of Effingham, and there you see the little notch right in there, and right in there is where your circulation is going to be. It's right there, and so the tornado likes to sit in that little notch right in here, and that is now west of Moccasin. Again, not the strongest of circulations, but a circulation nonetheless, and that is now moving to the east at, I believe, about 40 miles per hour. So we'll time this out. That's going to take it into Moccasin at 8:38. So coming up here in just about 14 minutes or so, 13 minutes, then into Banner at 8:48, and then beyond that, perhaps towards Effingham, or at least the north side of Effingham, if there is still, in fact, a circulation there. All right, Macon, Moultrie, and Shelby counties also under tornado warning. This is south of Decatur in Illinois. That going until 8:45, and we'll zoom in just a little bit and take a look at what's going on with that cell. So it looks like we might have a couple of areas where there are circulation within this one, sort of a complicated circulation, but certainly right in here you've got an inflow notch, and so some circulation right there, but some other areas as well. There is the more pronounced but broad circulation that is now right along 51, and that is going to be moving off towards the east and generally towards 121 and towards Sullivan and to the south of Dora. So we'll time this one out. That's getting over into Flat Branch at 8:29, Marrowbone at 8:47, and then 9:01 getting into Chips, and 9:09 will make its way over into Low. So ongoing tornado warnings, and then we've still got a tornado warning well off to the south and west of Shreveport, and there again, Macon, Moultrie, Shelby counties under warning. And we expand out the picture a little bit. Another warning to tell you about here in north central Illinois. So this is the cell that is not terribly far away from Chicago. So you can imagine that if it can manage to hold on to some of its intensity, that we'll be looking at a bigger deal in Chicago coming up here. That is LaSalle County under a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:45. Then there's also a tornado warning within that, and a little notch on the southwest side of that circulation. And then also we've got a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings off to the north there. We'll time this one out. So at its speed, at its present speed, which is probably about 45 miles per hour off to the north and east, actually 50, about 55 miles per hour to the northeast. Thank you. It's going to be taking it up into Joliet at 9:30. So coming up here in about another hour, we'll get up into Joliet, and then about 10:18 into Chicago. Now that would be downtown Chicago. Obviously, Chicago is a very big metro, so obviously the southwest side of the metro around Worth there near the top of the hour. So that's going to be one to watch for Chicago. Tornado warning for LaSalle County, including Bruce, Eagle, and Eden, and that's going until 8:30. And then we've also got warnings in the southern part of Wisconsin. And then one more thing to tell you about, and that is that down in northeast Texas, an ongoing warning there in northeast Texas, and that is south and west of Shreveport. Now, this is not the cell that had the really pronounced circulation. That is now morphed into a severe thunderstorm. But right here, south of I-20, this is Rusk County in Texas. There is an ongoing tornado warning, and that is for the cities of Henderson and Turnertown going until 8:45. Dr. Gregg, I don't know if you wanted to take another look at some of those cells, or
I can pull up on that last one. You might have heard me give an ooh on that one because I saw a pretty well-defined hook echo showed up there. So I'm pulling up that one on Gibson Ridge 18, Sarah, to see what that one looks like in high definition. That would be the southern of the storms down there in Texas. So just pop it over to Gibson Ridge 18 if you could, and see what we can see there. So that's a storm that's over in Texas, well down to the south and west of the Shreveport area. And the last one that Carl was showing, and has developed a pretty well-defined hook echo. There we go. The hook wraps around, and so let's see. That was what caught my eye with a hook. I'll take a look and see what kind of velocities we're showing. Not as well-defined, not as intense as what we had been seeing earlier. So there is some broad circulation. The green's going northbound, the red's going westbound, but the velocities in this case do not match the hook shape. We've had quite the opposite. There's been some rather unimpressive looking radar patterns that we've seen tonight, Carl, that when you looked at the velocities made you go, wow. And this one, I looked at the brand new hook that had gotten well defined and made me say, ooh, but the velocity is not matching that. So when that happens, the hook, it means that if it's if a hook forms, but the rotation is not at the ground, it's rotating more strongly aloft. Some of these have gotten themselves wrapped in rain, and the tornado is hiding in there. You can't see the hook pattern at all. So you have almost a decision tree, if you will, when you're going through these warnings, and a hook echo is just a very early part of the process. You can't just look at that and say, oh, there's a tornado. Yeah, back in the era before the early 1990s, when we didn't have Doppler radar, that's all you had to go by. And as you can see here tonight, some storms have hooks, some don't. Sometimes the hook is a well-defined tornado signature, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you have tornadoes without that hook signature. We're a lot more accurate these days at our ability to detect and warn tornadoes because we have Doppler radar. And as we've been looking at this evening, we have that dual pole capability now that when there's debris tumbling in the tornado, we can see that with the tornado debris signature as well. So we've gone yet a second generation of improvement in terms of that tornado detection ability. Sarah, if you could move us up into the Wisconsin-Illinois line area, we've had some good news take place there. That long-lived tornado that had been that big wedge tornado that we were showing you in the Rochelle area has continued that transition to what I would call a line echo wave pattern, and is no longer tornado warned at all as it comes up into the area around Racine, Illinois. There is that dog leg pattern that I was following that had that big broad circulation in that. And it now has severe thunderstorm warnings for up around the Racine area of Wisconsin and around the Waukegan area there of Illinois. And becoming a more widespread wind damage. There's likely to also be about 1 inch hail coming across with some of this storm, but at least some good news. It seems as if the tornado threat has lessened a little bit with these storms, Carl. All right, Dr. Gregg, thank you so much as always. We're going to take a moment here to sort of reconfigure our radars and take a look at what's going on, and we'll send it back to the studio. Alex, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, guys. Great analysis indeed. And want to bring in a new video coming in out of northern Illinois. Again, it's been a very active time across the state, and you can see there, look at that tornado. And you can see it's pretty much hanging down there from the cloud there.
All right, you know, that tornado looks a lot different, but we'll have to talk to Greg about this. Ashton, Illinois, just south of Rochelle, where, of course, we were live and saw that incredible video of that half-mile wide wedge tornado. Again, we're in northern Illinois, this large, dangerous wedge tornado, and where we saw the video from that in Rochelle, and, of course, the damage from Fairdale, really obliterating the area of Fairdale. Ashton is just south along I-88 of that, so more or less, don't you think, it was probably the same tornado, although it looks different, certainly a different perspective. This is farther south looking north.
Exactly. So this would have been pretty much before it made its way towards Rochelle. So at this point, probably in the beginning stages, and then what we saw near Rochelle, that huge wedge tornado taking place. So again, earlier in Ashton, Illinois, there were actually reports of damage and even injuries at a Kraft food warehouse near Ashton. So again, that is not confirmed, but a report of that taking place there.
Well, you can see, look at this, Alex, right in the foreground. What those looks like power lines obviously down, and let's see what happens. This is video, we're just getting it in, of course. This is from this incredible tornado that moved through about an hour and a half ago. We're talking about northern Illinois. Again, we had video earlier from Rochelle watching this major wedge tornado. This is new video from Ashton, Illinois. Most likely the same tornado, similar time, and very close to the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like you can even hear the sirens going off there. So great to hear that those were working and operational, and hopefully people heeded the warning there as that tornado was rolling on through.
Wow. All right, again, it's certainly amazing. We'll have to talk to Greg about this to see. It looks a lot different. Of course, that wedge tornado was incredible, but she's probably farther away. Hannah, thank you, Hannah, so much for this video. Again, about an hour and a half ago, this new video showing this Illinois tornado. You know, we talked yesterday, the guys did in the lab, no, there's a cap. Why there was a cap yesterday and what that meant. No cap today, meteorologically, meaning no warm level, nothing inhibiting these storms to really develop and blow up. And we have seen it just as though Greg said, a torcon today in Illinois of 6, meaning there was a 60% chance of a tornado, and boy, did we see it.
Yeah, no doubt about it, that verified. Yeah, the inhibiting factors really didn't come into play today, and that's why we're seeing a lot of the explosive storms that developed here late this afternoon and through the early portion of the evening. So, yeah, dangerous situations there across northern Illinois. We're going to continue to follow these storms. They're tracking their way across the state right now. Looks like the threat at this point with these storms seems to be the damaging winds as they're tracking now across northern Illinois and even into southern portions of the state of Wisconsin. So active weather continuing. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings are in place. In all total here at this point, there's still 10 watches, either severe or tornado watches, in effect at this hour. So it is active, no doubt. Let's get in a little bit closer to some of these storms. And there we have it into the northern portions of Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Big storms rolling on through. Certainly some heavy rain. You'll be dealing with some hail, potential for some gusty winds as well. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. That does include Milwaukee there.
And Racine, and of course, also more severe thunderstorm warnings. The cities of Avon and Warren and Waukegan, of course, Illinois, just north of Chicago. Of course, that is Lake Michigan to the right there. Farther south and west we drop. And again, still more severe thunderstorm warnings in LaSalle. You can see until 8:45 tonight.
Yeah, that's why watching damaging winds and hail being the threats with those storms there. Again, until 8:45. Heads up there if you are in line in the path of the storm, which is continuing to march on off towards the north and the east. Very active there across the Midwest. There's the broader view of what is happening, and you can see, again, the storms in and around Chicago. You're quiet. It's to the north and the west and to the south and west there. But that storm to your south and west could be heading in your direction.
And it's important to note, this whole complex is moving to the eastern seaboard. Philadelphia, Washington will detail the timing of that and what we expect coming up next.
Welcome back as we look in live now. This is in Rochelle, Illinois. If you're just joining us, a tornado rolled its way on through the city, and this is new video, new and live pictures coming into us here of rescue efforts as people are trapped. So rescue efforts underway as this place was actually hit by the tornado.
All right, now what we're talking about 7 o'clock local time in Rochelle, Illinois, about 80 miles northwest of Chicago. A large, dangerous wedge tornado, which is a tornado that's wider than it is tall, moving at about 9 to 45 miles per hour. We watched it live on the air, this massive structure cross over I-39 while cars and trucks were beaming forward. Reports of semis gathered. So a half-mile wide tornado moved through, and this is the damage left behind. And unfortunately, Rochelle, Illinois, and rescue efforts now underway. Reports, Alex, that people have been trapped, and you can see the damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you saw that tornado there, and you just knew this massive wedge was rolling through. You knew it was going to be trouble, and now we're seeing the aftermath of that tornado. Again, rescue efforts underway here. Not exactly sure what that building is at this point, but no doubt about it, hearing that people are trapped and rescue efforts are underway.
You know, a guy named Matt Salo, he was the chaser that took the video. We were live on the air. We'll show it to you coming up in just a moment. You won't even believe how massive this thing is. He's been chasing for 23 years, he said on the air. He has never seen in all of his 23 years a tornado this massive. Just to give you a perspective, the damage and the destruction that must be done to this tiny town. It's just farmland there. And so when you see just the massive nature of this thing, about a half a mile wide potentially, it'll be interesting to see the damage and the destruction and what it becomes in EF 3, 4, 5. We'll talk to Greg about that coming up too. He always has a good sense of that.
Yeah, the National Weather Service Office will certainly go out and survey the damage there, but we're getting word that this may be a restaurant that was damaged, and people are trapped here. Heard reports that maybe they were trapped in the basement. So at least that's what they did. They did exactly what you're supposed to do. Get into that lowest floor or the basement if there is one, and that's what we're hearing is potentially what happened here, but now trapped underneath some of the debris from that damaged restaurant.
All right, so we're in northern Illinois, here in Rochelle. We saw the damage, and Fairdale, Illinois, incredible damage as well. So you can see there's our live pictures just coming into us on the left side of your screen at about 7 o'clock local time. This is what Matt Salo, the chaser, was in his car taking these incredible pictures. This too, I think another YouTube video of someone else out there. You can see the nature of this massive, that's the wall cloud, that white part you can see there. A wedge tornado, you can see it's not very tall into the atmosphere on the lower edge, but it is incredibly wide. So you look to the right, look at that farm right there, that white farm. Can you imagine being there? As you can see the front of this, to the right, underneath that, what that is the rain shaft coming down on the west side, the left side of that tornado. It's much clearer. So you can see now, watch this. Can you imagine? We're live on the air watching this incredible wedge tornado. Again, we're in northern Illinois. This is about 7 o'clock local time, about 80 miles northwest of Chicago. This large, dangerous wedge tornado moving through. And this is the damage. You can see this is just the beginning of it. I mean, you only can imagine. I mean, it's rural out there. Yeah. So there's certainly not a lot of towns to cross and farms, but certainly there are.
Yeah,
some.
Absolutely. So what we're looking at right now, again, rescue efforts underway. We're getting word that this is a restaurant named Grub Stakers. That's the name of the restaurant on Illinois 64. As well as Illinois 251 on the corner of 64 and 251. Again, Grub Stakers, the restaurant, getting word that folks were trapped now in the basement, and those rescue efforts are underway. We'll try to get the latest on if there are any injuries and if everyone made it out safely.
I mean, can you imagine the fear? We're watching this here live on the air, watching this tornado, and it was scary for us. Can you imagine being there and watching this monster? To put it in perspective, Matt out there saying in all his years he's never seen anything as massive in 23 years of chasing.
Yeah, and as we were trying to talk to him, it was almost like he couldn't even find the words. It was almost like in shock at what he had seen. And you're seeing it right now, this tornado that was rolling its way near the Rochelle area. Now, of course, we've got Reynolds Wolf, who's been in northern Illinois all evening long, and we're going to get a chance to chat with him and see what he's seeing there on the ground.
And of course, again, in addition to the damage, again, that's Grub Stakers restaurant. We'll talk more about that. Go there as well and talk about where this will go as it heads to the East Coast potentially tomorrow.
Well, there you hear the sirens. They were going off. This is in northern Illinois, Ashton, Illinois to be exact. And you can see the tornado that is taking place. This tornado, again, in the Ashton area, which is just north of Interstate 81. There in northern Illinois. This is the same tornado that was made its way towards the near Rochelle area. This is before we saw that huge wedge tornado that took place there. So sort of in the beginning stages here, and you can see it almost in sort of a rope-like formation there. And again, it's a very scary situation as you hear those sirens going off. Hopefully folks made their way into their safety area when that was happening.
All right, so here we're hearing the sirens. Again, it's about 7 o'clock local time in Ashton, Illinois. It's northern Illinois. This is new video just into us, courtesy of Stephanie Curtis. Thank you so much, from Rochelle, Illinois. And look, you can hear her. Listen. You hear her just saying. So there you are, Rochelle, Illinois. This is really an interesting.
Through subdivisions.
See here saying she's going through subdivisions. Look at this. Oh!
All right, well, we want to take you now. This is live on WREX coverage here of that rescue effort that's taking place there at Grubstakers, the restaurant that was damaged. We're going to listen in now.
The basement, and then started ushering us out. So,
how many people were down there?
12, I believe. I think there was 12. So, it was the cook and the owner and her son and the dishwasher and myself, and then 5 or 6 patrons. So.
What was this restaurant called before?
Grubstakers.
And how long have you worked here?
I've been here 6 years. 6 years, yeah.
What was going on when you guys were in the basement? What was it like? Can you kind of describe what happened or just what was going through your head?
A lot of praying. So a lot of praying, some crying, but a lot of reassurance, you know, that everything was going to be okay. So it was so fast, you know, from when I got down there to when, you know, the tornado came over. It just went by so fast. So and then next thing I remember is them trying to open the door and we were stuck. So I think we were stuck for, I want to say 45 minutes to an hour. They were trying to get us out. So it was pretty scary. So
I appreciate you talking to me, Melissa. I know it must be extremely hard. I mean, I'm just glad you're okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else is okay.
That's my baby over there.
Oh, is that your car?
That's my car. So yeah.
Do you want to point it to it one more time?
Oh yeah. So there's my baby over there. Her name was Lola. Yeah.
Lola looks a little damaged.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to lay her to rest. So, but I don't know. I got all.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. So I got all of my valuables out, my yoga mat and my weights and my Yahtzee game. So.
We're just glad you're okay.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's all that matters. Everybody's okay. So, I mean, restaurant can be rebuilt, you know, cars, get another car. So, I'm fortunate.
Perfect, Melissa. I really appreciate it again. Yep, that was perfect. I'm sorry again. Yeah.
Glad you're safe.
I might get you.
All right, we have just been listening live to the rescue effort underway. Again, this was about 7 o'clock local time, a massive wedge tornado moving through northern Illinois. And this is Rochelle, Illinois. And that was the restaurant called Grubstakers. And you just heard her say, when you see what was behind her, there were 12 people in the restaurant, the cook, the owner, dishwasher, 5 or 6 patrons. They all went into the basement, I think. She said they prayed, they cried, trying to get out. Can you imagine? Their prayers certainly worked, right? 45 minutes stuck, and they couldn't get out. And then that's why, you know, we've seen the people come, the rescue efforts coming in, and certainly they've all survived, and she certainly had a sense of humor about it after.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Fortunate to be alive. And the other thing she mentioned, how quickly it happened,
right.
So very fast.
Yep.
And that's what happens with these tornadoes. Wanted to talk to Dr. Greg Forbes, our severe weather expert. And Dr. Forbes, we're looking at a little bit of the damage there. Right. Can you give us some insight into what you see?
Well, from what I can see there, Alex, what I can see is that it looks like the entire roof is off of this building, and then you can see inside of it. So at least one wall is down. I think some of the other walls are standing. So that would probably put it into the EF2 type wind speed range. We're probably talking maybe up around 130 miles per hour. Now, the tornadoes get rated on the basis of the strongest damage that is done. And so this is not necessarily the strongest damage. We have seen reports in many locations for many miles of what could be this long track tornado. You're seeing some of the reports there of all those red dots that are tornado reports. This is all from the same supercell, maybe all from the same long track tornado. So if it is one long track tornado, they'll find the spot with the highest rating in terms of the what was done to the building and what their enhanced Fujita scale guidelines tell them about that wind speed that would be needed to do that. and then that maximum, that will be what the tornado gets rated. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be at least an EF2 at that location. There may be a number of tornadoes there, or maybe one long track tornado. That's the kind of thing that damage surveys tomorrow and maybe in subsequent days will give us more details on. I think they're going to find a very wide tornado track. Maybe the damage was about a half-mile wide in those areas where we had that big wedge tornado. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, Greg, thank you so much. All right, I think we're going to talk to Stephanie Curtis. She was the one who shot that video, who we were just watching, and she said, look, it's going through the subdivisions. So we're going to hear from her, and it'll be so interesting from her perspective, looking out from her home, seeing that wedge tornado in the distance, and probably knowing people in those communities and in those subdivisions, and it'll be interesting to see how many people live there, kind of what people do.
Yeah, absolutely. So is Stephanie on the line? Is she on the line right now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. So walk us through it pretty much from beginning to end. Did you hear sirens going off?
No, actually, we didn't hear any. We just got the notices, like alerts on our phone that there was a tornado warning. Wow. So I started watching, and then it started hailing. So that kind of alerted us, too. There was a lot going on outside.
So what did you do then, Stephanie? So you get the alert on your phone. Do you go into a shelter? Do you have one in your home? Is that where you were?
We have a basement, and there was nothing. I mean, it was hailing, but there was nothing really going on. The wind wasn't blowing hardly at all. So we were kind of watching and just kind of keeping an eye on the clouds. And it was relatively calm here. I mean, the wind was blowing a little, but no more than if you were just having a thunderstorm or something. So we were watching, and then my husband saw the funnel cloud coming our way. Well, it actually wasn't coming our way. We could see it traveling across its path. We stepped outside to listen, and I thought that it was thundering because it's obviously lightning, but the sound just continued, and so I was like, I think, that's that trademark sound of a tornado, the train sound. And so we came back in. Wind's still not blowing, so it was blowing some, but, nothing more. We actually grew up in Missouri, and so they're really frequent in Missouri, tornadoes are. So we just kept watching the clouds, and then my husband's like, look at this, and we watched it, and it appeared to be going through neighboring subdivisions that are, like a mile away, and that we know people in, so it was very concerning.
I can only imagine, Stephanie. Was there a point where you thought to yourself, okay, we need to get in to a safe place?
Well, we kept watching, and it just kept traveling away from us. And so, yes, you're thinking about your safety, but also the wind wasn't really picking up here at all. So we were just kind of keeping track of it and waiting to go in the basement if needed to.
So Stephanie, we're talking to you on the phone, but we're also looking on the left right now at the restaurant, Grubstaker's restaurant in Rochelle as well, and the damage that was there and how scary it was for them. Have you been to Grubstaker's?
I've not. I drive by it on the way to work every day, and tomorrow I'll see, I guess.
Is it a really small community? Do you know people that live near that area? And we heard your voice saying, oh, look, it's going through the subdivision over there. Subdivision over there. Do you know people in subdivisions over there?
Yeah, actually, my husband and my son are out at some acquaintance's house. Their house is really messed up, and they're helping them with that. And we also went and checked on someone that no one could get in touch with, but she's fine. So we've also heard of another home that was pretty much destroyed. So they're all people that we know and friends. And we haven't heard of anyone that's been injured, thank God. But I don't know for sure.
Stephanie Curtis, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for sharing the video as well. Thank goodness that you're safe and your family is safe as well.
All right, so what we know at this point, a 7 o'clock local time in northern Illinois, a massive half-mile wide wedge tornado. This is how big it is. The storm chaser that shot the video that we watched live on the air and then have talked to many times said in his 23 years of chasing, he has never seen a tornado this wide. It was massive. It was about 80 miles northwest of Chicago, moved northeast at 45 miles per hour. So we watched it move, and now, of course, Stephanie, whom we have spoken to, lived in the area that really has been the most severely hurt, Rochelle, Illinois. And, of course, we also talked to people, and we've been watching Grubstaker's restaurant. 12 people in the restaurant at the time, the cook, the owner, 5 or 6 patrons, all went into the basement. Believe it or not, all made it out alive and are fine, and he didn't have a sense of humor about it, but the restaurant is destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we want to get into northern Illinois again on the ground. We've got our very own Reynolds Wolf. He is live right now in just outside of Chicago, about 30 minutes or so. Reynolds, what's the story from where you are?
Well, the story that we have now has really been just an ever-changing situation since 4:30 this morning when we first showed up here. We had fog, we had 42 degrees, then some drizzle, then the skies cleared out. And we're really concerned about the sunshine we got because we felt that would really add to the destabilization of the atmosphere, and that really was the case. I mean, your dew points were just jacked. So a very buoyant atmosphere. So when you had that heating, you had the lifting mechanism, that low, it all came together to give us that video, that scenario that we had farther out to our west. Again, just the video is just staggering. You take a look at that tornado. I mean, just a massive wedge tornado. You guys described it. That came through that community apart. Just devastating. As wise as it is, it's going to be interesting when the National Weather Service goes out tomorrow and surveys the damage to give us a better idea of just how strong this was, where it may have ranged in the EF scale. But regardless of those wind speeds and how strong they might have been, you got people's lives that are changed forever. Certainly a community that is shaken. And when they hear those sirens, we played earlier tonight, that is something that unfortunately so many people across the Midwest have to deal with, especially this time of year. We need that transition from seasons. Again, we're going to actually be lifting up and going there early tomorrow morning, where we're going to be reporting live from the scene, bringing you and the rest of America the story of how this community is coping. Again, early morning, we're going to be there for you, and again, we'll shed first light on this as the situation unfolds before us. But my gosh, frightening situation. As it stands in Chicago, those guys, we aren't done as of yet. If you look at radar, you'll see that we still have a few telltale thunderstorms still gaining a little bit of strength farther back out towards our southwest. They're rolling in this direction. So Chicago still dealing with that tornado watch that's going to be in effect until 11 p.m. local time. And those storms certainly cause some concern, so we got to watch those too. That's the latest we got for you. Let's send it right back to you at the Weather Channel. Guys, Carl? Dr. Forbes?
All right, Reynolds, thank you so much. And what we can tell you right now is that there are no tornado warnings in effect anywhere across the country, but there are still a number of severe thunderstorm warnings. And Dr. Greg, some very strong storms now approaching Chicago.
Yeah, indeed, from the southwest, it looks like it will come to the south side of the Chicago area. Let's take a look here. The warnings are there. There's lots of lightning with those. I have a feeling they may weaken a little bit as they come toward the Chicago area. We have other storms that are down east of Springfield, Illinois, and then farther downstate in Illinois. But we'll start taking a look. This is a cluster of storms that actually at one point had tornado warning on it, now becoming more like a small bow echo at the north end of this line of storms, heading up toward the Joliet area, heading right toward the Doppler radar there for the Chicago metro area. And it looks like it will probably come to downtown Chicago and the south side of the Chicago area. There are severe thunderstorm warnings there for Cook, DuPage, and Will counties. These storms are moving about 55 miles per hour, so you can expect maybe some small hail, maybe up to 1 inch in diameter, and some damaging winds that could be over 60 miles per hour with this, especially given the speed of this. It wouldn't take very much of a downdraft to add to that storm speed. Joliet, about 9:05, very close there now. The Chicago area, about 9:32, right at the downtown area, and then the south suburbs there on the lakefront. Whiting, 9:40. So strong to probably the kind of storms that could down some limbs, maybe cause some power outages in parts of the Chicago metro area heading this way. And of course, the threat for potentially deadly lightning. So this would be time to be moving in and thinking about keeping any of your children or anything that is outside moving indoors and keeping away from the appliances. Let's go farther to the north end of Chicago. Chicago has been very lucky this evening that the storms that went farther to the west, that we've been seeing that big wedge tornado, have missed them. Those storms also have now moved out over Lake Michigan. That little kink in the line that I was showing at the very end is east of Racine. The tail end of that drags into the Waukegan area. No warnings on that, but this cluster of storms likely to hold together as it comes across Lake Michigan, probably going to come into the other side toward the Grand Rapids area, coming toward Grand Rapids just a little bit before midnight tonight. Let's take a look at the situation here. Is one that there's a warm front that runs across this area, the surface low that has been adding some spin to the storms that made the one in northern Illinois probably the strongest that we're going to see today, has pushed up into that area. These line segments that are now east of the low like to run along warm fronts, and so it certainly has that warm front to move across. Could be places like maybe the entire southern half of the lower peninsula of Michigan could yet have another round of storms. They have earlier had some tornado warnings in some of these areas. Going to be probably a different character of storms that will be moving across that area. Farther down along ahead of this blue cold front, we do have pretty warm air and still some severe thunderstorms, although no tornado warnings, as Carl has said, at this time. So we'll continue to keep you updated on all of that. There are some... Yeah, southern Cook County now, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. They're talking about 1-inch hail and the possibility of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That also includes Will County. Farther downstate, Effingham County, as well as Cumberland and Shelby counties, you have severe thunderstorms. That probably will move over into Terre Haute in Indiana. Taking a look, there's a warning there down to the southwest of Champaign, Illinois as well. And we also have some storms continuing farther to the south. Look at that one spinning. That one is turning from a supercell thunderstorm into one that has one of these backwards C shapes, comma heads. There is some rotation in that one. Can never totally rule out a tornado in this kind of a storm. It has definitely some rotation there around the Neoga area. We'll be heading toward the Casey area. So we may not have any tornado warnings at the moment. Doesn't mean that we're done for the night. We still could have something like that. We have severe thunderstorms rolling into Shreveport in Louisiana, and I believe Carl Parker is going to take it from there. Carl?
All right, Dr. Greg, and yes, there's a warning now for Bossier and Caddo parishes in Louisiana. We've still got a warning for Harrison, Marion, and Panola counties in East Texas. This was the storm that had significant rotation on it. There has not been, as of yet, a report of a tornado, but we did see not only very strong rotation, but debris on the radar as well. We did get some reports of damage there in northeast Texas. Another warning off to the west, Harrison, Panola, Rusk counties. That's going until 9:15, and then to the south of that, Panola, Rusk County also under warning. That includes the Carthage area. That's going until 9:15. So a lot of activity still here along I-20. And then as we take you a bit farther to the north, and we'll time all of this out, and you notice that this is coming into Shreveport in short order. 60-mile-per-hour wind will be the threat. Red shoot at 9:31, 9:48 getting into Houghton, and 10:13 moving over into Minden. Now to the north of that, we've been watching storms that have been rolling across the same areas there in southern Arkansas. Flash flood warning ongoing, 3 to 4 to 5 inches of rain there in southern Arkansas, but it does look like we're going to get a bit of a break there. There you see in yellow more than 3 inches of rain. Now we're getting up into that 4 to 5 inch territory in that red there. There you see a 4.9 just to the north and east of El Dorado. Farther to the north, up into southeastern parts of Missouri, more severe thunderstorm warnings just west of the Mississippi River Valley, around Poplar Bluff, not very far away from Cape Girardeau. We'll go through a couple of these warnings for you now, and the concern here is 1-inch hail and damaging wind. So Carter, Ripley County under warning. That's going until 9:15, and then off to the north and east of that, another warning for Wayne County until 9:30. Brand new warning has just popped on that does include Cape Girardeau. Bollinger, Cape Girardeau, Perry counties under severe warning, and certainly there's going to be damaging wind along that line. When you see a linear convective system, as we call it, a line of thunderstorms, then primarily what you're looking at is a wind and hail threat, and that's going to be coming over into Cape Girardeau. Also some lingering storms around Raleigh and Durham, and an ongoing flash flood warning there. As Dr. Greg mentioned, could be some additional tornadoes, but mostly what we're looking at least right now, is a wind and hail threat and very heavy rain. Alex and Alex, over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Carl. We appreciate it. And of course, we're continuing to follow the story in northern Illinois near Rochelle, where a tornado rolled its way on through. Let's listen in live now. This is from WREX TV, getting an update on what's happening there.
People that are trained technical rescue people on various departments working with us. But as we cut away to get into the basement, we had to shore it up to make sure we didn't have any more cave-ins, make sure our guys going down were going to be safe. So it was quite a job, but we got everybody out. It appears to be minor injuries. None of our folks were hurt. None of the surrounding departments that came to help us none of their people were hurt. So from that standpoint, it was a successful operation for us.
So, do you guys think of anything else? Can you remember a storm that did this much damage in your time in the department?
No, I've been on the department almost 35 years now, and we've never had anything come through like this.
Anything else you want to add in?
No, just my thanks to the departments that came in and gave us a hand. And it's going to be a long night, but thank God so far we don't have anybody seriously injured.
How many departments were here tonight?
We had Stillman Valley, Ogilvie, Rochelle, Mount Morris, and Monroe Center all came in to help us tonight. So,
have you guys been called to any of the other surrounding homes?
We haven't, because we do crews out and about because there are other homes that are damaged in the area, and that's what we're starting to do now is we're checking the entire district. We know the path that the storm took, and so that's the path we're going over now, and we're double checking all of the houses and farms along that path.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, we were just listening, of course, to the fire department. He said he's been in the fire department for 35 years, and he has never seen anything like this. So just an incredible event. Of course, we're talking about Rochelle, Illinois, about 80 miles west of Chicago. A massive wedge tornado roared through this area at about 7 o'clock local time.
And damaging a restaurant there, grub stakers there, and they had to rescue some folks. The great news they're coming out, everyone got out. Minor injuries, and again, he's considered it a successful operation, so that is the best news out of this. Everyone got out safely.
All right, continuing coverage of the biggest tornado outbreak thus far this year, coming back right after the break.
And welcome back to our coverage of a tornado outbreak across much of the middle of the country, and it's not over yet. There is a new tornado warning to tell you about for Cape Girardeau County and Perry County in Missouri. And let's get over to a severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. And Dr. Greg, a line of storms here, but rotation within that.
Definitely is. It's one of these things where there's an intersection of a couple of lines, and sometimes those intersections will give you tornadoes. And we're talking about it's hidden under all of this lightning. It's just exploded along this line of thunderstorms that is along the cold front here. We're talking off to the north and west of Paducah. That's the Cape Girardeau, Missouri area, just to the west of the Mississippi River. So talking about Cape Girardeau County here, the storm, and Perry County. Here's that intersection I was talking about. There's one arm comes up in here, and then the rest of the body of the storm comes back in here. So sometimes those intersection areas will wind up giving tornadoes. And look at the velocities here. Just to the south and west of Apple Creek, very strong counterclockwise rotation. You see the yellows going northwest bound, the greens going southwest bound. So this is a very strong rotation there in the Apple Creek area of Missouri, heading over toward the Poplar Ridge area of Illinois. And you see about 10:07 Central Time would be coming across the Poplar Ridge area. So Altenburg, very close to the Mississippi River there, 9:42. Dangerous storm has really shown its increased rotation. Here in the high definition radar, there's the arm coming in. The hiding circulation, you wouldn't think this if you didn't have the Doppler radar, but that little curly Q in the higher return radar there is right where the tornado is located. So there is that red and green couplet. I'll ask the radar to see if there's any debris showing up. No debris showing up at this time. It is all just a circulation that's embedded in rain and possibly some hail there with this particular storm. So be on the lookout in the Appleton area, heading over toward the Grand Tower area right along the Mississippi River. Now, taking a look up in the Chicago area, we were talking to Reynolds Wolf were showing us, and he'll be having a look to the south, I think, at severe storms that are coming maybe with 70-mile-per-hour winds now across the Joliet area. Cook, DuPage, and Will counties have severe thunderstorm warnings with that. These storms are racing at about 50 miles per hour across the area. Big, tall thunderstorms that are showing up. We can show in this particular portrayal of the storms in this way of showing in 3D. And here you see some of the high top thunderstorms. Very sharp leading edge to that. We'll probably have some strong downdrafts along the leading edge of that will be giving perhaps damaging winds to parts of the Chicago metro. Another way that we can show this, if we go to the Gibson Ridge 19, we can take a look at what I call an MRI. It's dark now, but if you were able to look at the storms from the south side, you would see this, a wall of clouds here, maybe a little bit of an overshooting top there, but I took a slice through the storms there. If you flew around to the southwest side of that and then were able to peer inside, you have the top of the storm, maybe a little bit of a trailing line. There's the anvil coming out, but then some very heavy rain and hail that are in the midst of this particular storm. So perhaps a 1-inch hail, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts coming within a matter of 15 minutes or so now up into the Chicago area. Carl?
Dr. Greg, maybe very quickly we could talk about the forecast for tomorrow, because we do expect to see more severe storms, mid-Atlantic region and down across the southeast. Not as much of a tornado threat, but even when you have these lines of storms coming across that area, sometimes little boundaries show up, especially eastern North Carolina, southeast Virginia.
As we get later on into the afternoon and evening, the cold front that is now coming across Illinois will be marching its way into places like southeast Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, down into Maryland, Delaware, all the way down into the Carolinas with a chance of damaging gusts.
Weather Wellness brought to you by CVS Health.
And I looked out the window and I saw it, and it was huge. You know, it was huge, and it was coming right for us. And at that moment, Ava just grabbed me, and Ava's the owner, grabbed me and she said, you know, just get to the basement. And she and I were the first ones down there, so we didn't see a whole heck of a lot. So, but I know Sal that works there, he's the cook and co-manager. He was responsible for getting the patrons to the basement. So, yeah, I didn't see a whole heck of a lot, but.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm in shock. So I'm in shock. I've got no job, no car, so it's scary. So, but I'm glad I'm alive, and there was, you know, everybody down there was so supportive. Everybody was healthy. Everybody was, nobody was injured. So everybody was praying, and every loved one that we were able to get a hold of, everybody was okay. So it's just a shock. That's all I can say.
Well, hi everyone and welcome back. Certainly a scary night in Rochelle, Illinois, about 80 miles west of Chicago. She was one of 12 people in a restaurant, Grubstaker's Restaurant in Rochelle, Illinois, that was flattened by a massive Wedge tornado that about 7 o'clock local time moved through this tiny town. She was in there, 12 people, a cook, an owner, dishwasher. They were trapped in the restaurant. You heard her say, Melissa Jamie was her name. Trapped in the restaurant, they prayed, they cried, trying to get out. They were stuck in there for 45 minutes. And then the fire chief said he cut away into the basement, and he said, quote, quite a job. The assistant fire chief, whom we're going to hear from, said he was at the department for 35 years, and he has never had anything like this happen. So it's really been an incredible, scary night, and believe it or not, no injuries, minor injuries, but certainly no deaths.
Yeah, everyone made it out with no problems there. Successfully, everyone was rescued. So again, fantastic news on that end there, as everyone was able to get out unharmed. And it's fantastic to hear that all these people made their way into the basement of this restaurant. You know, we always tell folks, you hear the sirens or you know there's danger coming, you know there's a warning, seek shelter, get into that basement, innermost portion of your home. And it looks like these people did just that. And the result now, everyone making it out alive. So these are some of the pictures from earlier there as the rescues were taking place. And again, the good news, everyone made it out. Just a few minor injuries, and some of those were transported there privately with their own vehicles to the hospital.
Right, and you know, we just have this just in now. The Rochelle Assistant Fire Chief spoke, and he said, now we're looking, of course, on the other side of your screen at certainly the search and rescue here, of course, at that Grubstakers restaurant in Rochelle. Again, literally flattened. I think actually one or two of the walls may be standing, but certainly a scary scenario. He said 4 homes have been flattened already in Rochelle. People, as you just said, Alex, transported to the hospital, but in private vehicles, which is important to note. No ambulances were necessary. And when you see this Wedge tornado, as we watched it live on the air a few hours ago, and now you see, of course, the aftermath, it is just a miracle. Crews out there right now checking out the entire area, also checking on the homes and the farms in this tornado's path. 80 miles west of Chicago, a large, dangerous Wedge tornado, 7 o'clock local time, moved northeast at about 45 miles per hour. And we watched it, Alex, watching this Wedge tornado live on the air, crossing Interstate 39 with just vehicles still cruising, going right toward it. Really unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. And, you know, we're going to get a chance to find out what else happened there in terms of other damage across the area, because, again, this thing was a massive tornado. But the good news here, at least just north of Rochelle there at the Grubstakers restaurant, everyone that was trapped there in the basement making it out safely.
But you know, the breaking news is, Alex, that we still have tornado warnings up and down. Of course, the center of the country just ensconced in storms. The biggest tornado outbreak thus far this year. And boy, Greg, you nailed it. You said 60% chance of a tornado, but did you expect a Wedge tornado of that magnitude tonight?
Well, Alex, unfortunately, yes, I thought we probably would, especially up in that area, Carl, where we had the surface low. We had the upper air forcing that was pushing into that area. So while the Torcon does not specifically predict intensity, usually in these kind of days when the Torcon gets up into the 5-6 range, 1 or 2 of the tornadoes are going to be maybe in the strong category, and we certainly appear to have had one of those today.
And an interesting case, because there wasn't a terrific amount of directional shear today, but there was an awful lot of speed shear. The wind's getting much faster as you go up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it really was. Plus the counterclockwise horizontal spin of the surface low there added, I think, some rotation up in this area near the warm front as well. Now, that said, let's take a look at what's still going on. We do have still severe thunderstorms coming into the Chicago area, so could be maybe 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts there. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings for parts of Cook County and some of the adjacent counties there, as a cluster of thunderstorms, especially the northeast part of that, Cook, DuPage, and Will counties, included in the severe thunderstorm warning for the leading line that probably is going to be the one that has the most widespread potential to knock down some trees and power lines here and there. It's mostly coming strongest up into the Calumet area. I don't like that little kink that I see in the line there. It's not totally out of the question that we could still get a tornado with this. And you see the north end of that line is just about heading toward the downtown parts of Chicago. So the southern half of the Chicago metro area, all the way down to areas just to the northwest of Gary, Indiana, likely to have that threat for some damaging wind gusts. And there is another separate storm that is down south of Frankfort, north of Peatone, that is giving parts of a severe thunderstorm warning that goes a little bit farther to the south of that leading line. So dangerous storms there. Now, down into the Cape Girardeau, Missouri area, that Cook and Will counties included in that one. Down into the Cape Girardeau, Missouri area, a line of thunderstorms with 2 arms coming up the front side of that. We don't totally understand what these are. They may be some kind of wave features, but often as they go by, they'll induce some circulation in the line, and there certainly is some circulation that's taking place back in there. You see that kink there, and that is where the Doppler velocities, the greens eastbound, the reds westbound, indicate there is the possibility of a tornado in what's becoming sort of a bow echo with a rotating comma shape, a comma head to that. So places coming up north of Pocahontas, Missouri, up toward the Grand Tower area of Illinois, a possibility of a tornado there. There you see it timed out across this area. Carbondale, Illinois, 1026. Carbondale, by the way, Carl, that's one of the places that was hit by the tri-state tornado back on March 18th, 1925. And for the viewers, at some times we're showing a video of a big wall cloud. The cloud is almost all the way to the ground. You can barely see the big Wedge tornado beneath that. And that is probably the way that many of the people back in 1925 were seeing this big tri-state tornado. Some of them didn't realize it was a tornado. They said it was a cloud or a fog bank all the way to the ground. So I think we might have gotten a picture. This one, you're able to see the tornado, but mostly it's a big wall cloud there that's almost all the way to the ground. It doesn't look like the big cylindrical tornado that people are most often looking at. So we may have seen this in the Carbondale area where we're heading the tornado tonight. We may have seen something like that back in something like this one back in 1925.
And that's what we saw with the El Reno tornado, just this big wall that was moving from left to right there. And talking about this tornado that happened earlier, we've got the chaser video. We actually had this live on the Weather Channel, and that is not something that happens every day, that's for sure. Chaser just happened to be right on this storm, and Dr. Greg, that is certainly a cone shape and even a wedge shaped tornado there, massive tornado, and then within that, multiple vortices capable of causing great damage.
Yeah, we certainly expect that was the case. I think we've seen maybe some photos that we haven't gotten permission to use on air yet that showed that it did have those multiple vortices. Damaging winds rolling through the Shreveport area as well, and additional places across the country this evening. We'll come back and talk about at times here who's in store for these severe thunderstorms tomorrow. And it may be places like Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, and maybe down into the Carolinas. So we're not done with this weather system just yet. Stay tuned.
Well, welcome back. What you're looking at is a video from earlier in Fairdale, Illinois. This is damage from a tornado that rolled on through the area. Reports into the Weather Channel of one person dead. And again, that is just reports at this point, not confirmed, but reports of one person dead. At this point, in terms of injuries and others missing, unclear. So that is still something that we're trying to work on and find out. But again, this is damage video coming in from Fairdale. We showed you some of the video earlier of the massive wedge tornado that worked its way, starting in the Ashton area. We saw some of the video there. Then it made its way over towards Rochelle, and then in Fairdale, and this is what we see the result of it here. There is that video there near Rochelle of that massive tornado.
Oh, wow. This is just unbelievable. We were watching this live on the air at about 7 o'clock local time. This about half-mile wide, massive wedge tornado here in northern Illinois, about 80 miles west of Chicago along I-88. So this, again, is Rochelle from earlier in the day. So the tornado essentially went Ashton, moved east to Rochelle, and then moved northeast to Fairdale, Illinois, kind of traversing I-88 and then going on I-39. And, you know, we had, of course, the chaser video earlier, and he was along I-39 and watching, just looking at I-39. Just incredible seeing it just kind of parallel the road and all the trucks still driving.
Absolutely unbelievable. All right, well, we want to get you out into the ground now and show you how things are faring in northern Illinois. We got our very own Reynolds Wolf, who is just outside of Chicago. Reynolds, how's it shaping up?
Well, we're in an interesting spot. Just give our viewers across America our location. We're actually in what they refer to as an oasis along parts of 294. This is the O'Hare Oasis, meaning that O'Hare Airport is actually on the other side of the camera. This is to our north, this to our south, this is to our immediate southeast. On the end of this parking lot, you see the semi-trucks, and what we have been seeing quite a bit of is a beautiful display of cloud-to-cloud lightning. Occasionally, the wind will pick up. We had a little bit of a light drizzle a while ago, heavier downpours earlier in the day. Right now, not a whole lot in terms of rainfall, but yes, I'm hoping to catch some lightning for you guys. You can see it. Much of it is now moving off to my immediate left at this point, but very interesting watching this develop. You know, all day long, it has been building up to what we've had this afternoon and into the evening hours. It started off with fog, a little bit of drizzle, had a break by midday, some sunshine, helped destabilize the atmosphere, and obviously we're dealing with the byproducts of that. In terms of travel, roadways got really slow on parts of the tollway. Airport, over 735 cancellations took place, and we had delays up to an hour and a half. Right now, without delay, though, these storms are racing their way right into the Chicago area. Certainly interesting to watch these come on through. If we can, let's send it over to Dr. Forbes and Carl Parker. Guys, what are you guys seeing on radar at this point?
Well, it looks like most of the action is off to the south of you in Chicago. We're going to look at that warning here in a moment. And, you know, Dr. Greg, every severe weather event has got a curve. It's got a peak. And it looks like we are definitely past that peak right now, looking at mostly severe thunderstorm warnings, but there still may be some tornado warnings.
There still definitely is a chance of that. We had a tornado warning down around Cape Girardeau, Missouri. That has expired. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning there, but we still could get some severe weather yet tonight. The storms are a little bit spotty at this point. It's not a solid line along the cold front, but we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning that is coming into the south side of Chicago. Reynolds is up near Des Plaines. That's around the area where O'Hare is located. So storms have missed him to the north and west and are missing him to the south. He's been seeing some lightning with these storms. Cook, DuPage, and Will counties. You have a multi-chord storm system. It's a cluster of thunderstorms that are coming through. The first one has gone out over the Lake Michigan area. There are still some additional storms to go. You see big cluster of lightning strikes, especially with that leading storm. 192 strikes there showing up. These are cloud to ground strikes that are indicated. So stay indoors and stay off of the plumbing, stay off of the corded appliances because the lightning could get conducted into your house that way. He also has been seeing some lightning off to his north up around the Waukegan area, northeastern Illinois, and that's part of that storm system, part of that big, what is now a big cluster of storms that earlier gave that tornado that we've been seeing so much damage from. It went from a supercell into a configuration, a bent line pattern we call a line wave pattern. So that storm system is pushing its way across Lake Michigan, may yet give some new severe thunderstorms over into Michigan. We'll continue to see that. Stay tuned.